Hello and good evening and happy first Thursday of the month, which means it is Achievement Chasers night. So Dude and I will be talking about our achievement hunting over the course of January. How are you doing tonight, Dude?
Doing pretty good. It was fun watching Paul bang his head against the wall in a dungeon.
I did jump in on his stream a little bit a couple hours ago for about a half hour, and I saw him fight a boss, and he beat it on his first try, and I was jealous. But I have no idea if it was a very difficult one or an easier one. I'm assuming it was easier because he wasn't even wearing any armor.
And that was because I bullied him into doing it.
Oh, is that why?
Yep.
Okay. So, well, good to be back with another episode of Achievement Chasers and talk about our achievement hunting in January. So we were just briefly talking before we went live about how much we got to talk about. And it looks like Dude's got about 5 games and I've got about 6. So we'll see. But this might be a little bit shorter than usual. But who knows? We can often go on long tangents about stuff. So...
hey, there's nights we think it's going to go short and then it goes 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. There've been times like, this was, I've got like 2 games to talk about. You got 3, and then we go like 3.5 hours. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah. So I guess since sounds like I have one more to talk about than you, I think I'll go ahead and go first. And there was no community event, so. Pretty much everything I have to talk about tonight is all Xbox related. The only thing not Xbox related is on Metroidvania Monday. I've been playing through Super Metroid. So I've done, I think, 3 Super Metroid streams, and I'm getting close to the end. So I've got a good chunk of the achievements. I have 39 out of 52 so far. I was thinking I might have been able to beat the game this last Monday, but I'm going for 100%. So it took a lot longer than I
Yeah, and
anticipated.
if you do get in that last save station, it locks you out of the rest of the game.
Exactly. Yeah, I noticed that the 100% achievement is missable. So I was like, oh, that means I can't go and do it afterwards. I have to do it before. So I might be able to beat it next Monday if I even have a Metroidvania Monday. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to have one next Monday or the following Monday. We shall see. But I think I could probably do it in one more stream, but definitely in 2.
Mastery is definitely not a terrible mastery, though.
It's not. I'm not going for the mastery right now because there are a few achievements that I skipped that are like right towards the beginning. That shouldn't be too difficult to go back to.
The hardest one is doing the speed run on the end portion.
Yeah.
On the end escape. That's because every time you fail it, you have to redo the boss fight.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. And then there is one for beating the game in less than 3 hours, which
I can do that casually. So
yeah, it's been a long time since I played it. So there's an achievement for beating the escape with at least 2 minutes remaining, and one for beating it with 1.5 minutes remaining. So
there's also the one for the Sarah Station escape as well.
That's at the beginning of the game, though, right?
Yeah. That's at the beginning.
So I very well may go for the mastery, but right now I'm just going for the 100% completion. So that'll get me probably about 45 would be my guess out of the 52. So yeah, other than that, everything else I have to talk about is all Xbox related. So I was looking at my summary and true achievements, and it lists all of my friends, and I was 31 out of, let's see, I've got 94 friends on my leaderboard, and I was 31, and I only had 6,200 gamer score and 177 achievements in January. So it wasn't a whole lot, but I noticed that 5 of my friends got over 100,000 gamer score in the month of January. It's like, that was nuts. And the number one person on my friends list had 239,000 gamer score in January.
He must have gone for a bunch of easy games.
He plays tons of easy stuff. He's got, let me see here. And that is my buddy Carnage, who I've been friends with for like probably close to 15 years. When I met him, I had more gamer score than him, but he now has over 3 million gamer score, and I am at 744,000. So, but the reason why is because when we became friends, all he played was Xbox Live Arcade games, and those were only 200 score at the time, and then he's since expanded, so now he plays everything. So he's only got a 1.4 ratio and a 33% completion percentage. But yeah, that's nuts. He has almost 240,000 gamer score in a month. But it's nuts that you could probably do that in a day if you started a new gamers tag and you had all the easy games. You could
Yeah.
do that in a day.
But the fact is, he actually has more gamer score, I think, than I almost. He got almost more gamer score that I have in
Oh,
total.
in total, in 1 month than you have in your entirety. I have seen that in a few cases where there's people who aren't like super heavy hardcore, but the people who are
Because
super
I am at
hardcore
258.
have more gamer score in a month than some achievement hunters do in their entire career.
That's because I go for the hard. I don't go just
Exactly.
for the easy games.
You've
I do
got
those every now and then, but nothing like that.
yeah, you've got the ratio to prove it. So, and we got a couple people hopping in chat. Snap Rai is here. What's up, yo Neo? Only here for like 2 minutes, but just leaving a like. Have a good stream. Always appreciate it. You have a good night. Thanks for dropping in just for real quick, even if you can't stick around. Nightmare saying, don't know how long I'm gonna stick around, but have a good stream. Appreciate you coming in and saying hi. So let's see here. So the first thing I played was I made so I had started Castlevania Mirror of Fate or Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate, which I think I might have talked about last month too. But was originally, I think it was a DS and a PSP or PS Vita, because I don't know which one
3DS.
it was on. It was 3DS. And which of the PlayStation portables? It was PSP and then PS Vita, right? Or
Yes,
was it
Vita.
the other way around? Okay, so it was probably a Vita game as well, and it was ported to Xbox Live Arcade. I bought it way back in the day, and I had it for like a decade before I ever actually played it.
I think it's backwards compatible too, so you could still buy it, right?
Yes, it is. Because I was playing through it in December, and I beat the game on hard at the end of the month. So on December 31st, because I was trying to get the story completion before the end of the month. That's because the Metroidvania contest I run, I won the role, and that was the Metroidvania of the month. So I had to at least go and beat the story. Otherwise, it would look bad if it was my choice and I didn't even beat the game. I don't have the completion in it. I tried, but in January, I did go back and play through it again on hardcore, which is the hardest difficulty, because you don't unlock hardcore until you beat it once, either on normal or hard. So
usually whenever that happens, I don't play the hardest difficulty, as long as the easier difficulty still unlocks it. Because then you just get used to the game, and then when you play, you can just, when you want the challenge, you just play through on the hardest difficulty at that point.
Yeah, so there is no achievement for beating it on easy or normal, but there is an achievement for beating it on hard, which you do have unlocked from the beginning. But you have to beat it on any of those difficulties to unlock hardcore. So since there's no achievement for easy or normal, I just played it on hard the first time. It wasn't too bad, but I did beat that on December 31st, and then it unlocked hardcore, and then I made a quick run through and beat it on hardcore on the 3rd. So in that second playthrough, I only got 2 achievements, the one for beating the game on hardcore and the one for getting 1,000 kills. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 achievements in the game. One is for beating the game in under 3.5 hours, which if I bumped it back down to easy, I could probably beat it in pretty easily. But there's 4 other achievements for beating the boss rush on each of the 4 difficulties: easy, normal, hard, and hardcore. And there's no real reason to beat it on any of the lower difficulties when you just beat it on the hardest one, and it unlocks. They do stack. But beating the boss rush mode, after like a couple of hours, I could barely get past the second boss. And there's like 12 or 13 bosses, and you don't regain any health, and there's no health recovery. So you have to make it through all of them without dying or regaining any health. It's ridiculous. So I was
Sounds like you need to get good.
I do. So I gave up on it for now. I'll go back to it eventually. But because of that, I was like,
which is foreshadowing to a later game that you're going to talk about. Although we'll both probably be talking about it.
Yes. but because I was like, I'm not going to be able to get the completion on this by beating the boss rush mode on hardcore. I'm not going to bother with getting the 3.5 hour achievement. I'll go for those, sometime in the future. So, so I made a second playthrough, and I got that one on the 8th. Oh, I beat it on hardcore on the 8th of the month. So that was the first thing I played through, and that might sit on uncompleted. I mean, I started it in 2019, got the first achievement, and then basically didn't touch it again until I got one achievement in 2020, and then I got an achievement in December of 2023 because I used that achievement as part of 2023's 12 Days of Christmas. So that was actually on stream. And then I didn't touch it again until October when I actually started playing through it. And I was like, all right, December, I'm going to beat it before the end of the month since it was, I rolled it for my Metroidvania contest. So then I went through and I now have 18 out of 23 achievements, but those remaining 5 achievements will probably be uncompleted for a very long time. So, but yeah, that's as for the game itself, it was okay, very mediocre. I haven't rated it yet, but on True Achievements has a 3.7 out of 5 stars. Nothing really like pulled me in and like made me want to keep playing it. It was more so the achievements. It had an interesting way the game played though, because it has 3 acts and you start out playing as one character. What's his name? I'm not very well versed in the Castlevania lore, so
I don't know much about the Lords of Shadows side of things because I haven't played those games yet.
You know what? Let's see here. I'm sure. Oh, I was like, let me look at the achievements. I'm pretty sure it tells you the names of the characters in each of the sections. So you start out playing. Well, the prologue, like 5 or 10 minutes, you start out playing as Gabriel Belmont, who you play as in the Lord of Shadows games, because this is like a spin-off. I don't know exactly where it takes place in the Lord of Shadow timeline, but I think kind of like each Final Fantasy is like a different universe, essentially. The Castlevania Lords of Shadow games are one Castlevania timeline, and all the other Castlevania games, I think, are in another timeline.
Yeah.
Or at least some of them are, because I know that the Lords of Shadow games, I can pretty much guarantee you, just from what I've, context clues and stuff, that it's a separate timeline. But
I think so too.
You start out playing
Thanks, Hideo Kojima.
Oh, one other thing is that it's by Mercury's team, who did Metroid Dread and
Samus Returns.
And Samus Returns, that's right. So those games are far superior to this one for sure. Even though I haven't played Samus Returns, I'm sure I would like it a lot better than I like this one. But anyways, you start out playing as Gabriel Belmont, who you play. I've played Lords of Shadow 1, and I've got the full completion. And I'm planning on playing Lords of Shadow 2 finally this month. I don't know if I'll get the completion. I'm going to try and get the completion, but I'm at least going to get the story completion. But I will talk about that here in just a minute. But anyways, you start out as Gabriel Belmont, who you play as in Lord of Shadow 1 and 2 for the prologue. And then it switches and you play as Simon Belmont. And you play through the first act of Simon Belmont. And through the first act, you come across Alucard a couple times. He's and then once you beat Act 1, you switch over and you play through as Alucard. But it's basically like a perspective shift, because both Alucard's act and Simon's act takes place at the same time, because you're both going through and doing different stuff at the same time. So when you're playing through the first time as Simon, and you'll see Alucard, there's a couple of cutscenes where you talk to him. When you're playing through as Alucard, you see Simon, and then you see the cutscene, and you're Alucard talking to Simon. So they take place at the same time. Then the third act goes back in time, and you play through as Trevor Belmont. And then at the end of the third act, all the timelines converge, and you play as Alucard, and you play as like Simon's there, but you're playing as Alucard, and it's you two versus Gabriel Belmont, because at the end of Lord of Shadow 1, Gabriel Belmont becomes Dracula, and so you as Alucard and Simon fight Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how the game plays. And most of the achievements you'll get just from playing through the game. And because there's an achievement for beating each of the bosses and each of the acts. And there's an achievement actually, there's not an achievement for beating each act, but there is an achievement for beating each act and getting 100%, meaning getting all the collectibles in each act. And then there's one achievement for, I think, each act. There's a puzzle that you have to beat in each act without using clues, which you can it's really easy to do by accident if you're not following the walkthrough, which is what I was doing, because one of the collectibles that you have to get throughout the game is there's these Dead Knight scrolls, and you see them flash, and you just go pick them up and read them, and then it adds to your completion percentage. You have to find all of them. And so you would think that it's just another scroll you need to pick up, but it doesn't indicate, other than it's a different color, because most of the night scrolls are like glow white. The hint scrolls glow red, but nothing in the game tells you that. If you didn't know that, you'd probably go and pick it up thinking it's another scroll, but it's a hint that invalidates the achievement. So if you do end up playing this game, if you see a red scroll, do not pick it up because it'll invalidate the achievement. Luckily, I knew that ahead of time because I looked at the walkthrough.
That's bad achievement design.
Exactly. So there's an achievement for each 3 acts. There's a puzzle that you have to solve without using any hints. So as long as you know that going into it, it's easy to avoid. But if you don't know that, you're probably going to pick up the scroll thinking it's just another scroll and invalidate your achievement. So and Nightmare saying that, yeah, PSP was first, then Vita. Lords of Shadow is totally its own timeline. There are 2 other major timelines, I believe. Okay, that would be my guess, because I would say Lords of Shadow is one timeline. My guess would be all of just the straight platforming Castlevanias are another timeline, and then the Metroidvania Castlevanias are another timeline. That would be my guess.
The Metroidvanias are in the platforming's timeline.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't played any of the
because Symphony of the Night is set in the 1600s. And yes. I think like Castlevania 3 was like set in like the 1400s.
Okay.
So it's the same Alucard.
Yeah.
Same Alucard between those 2 games.
I know you play through Symphony of the Night as Alucard.
And I know Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow are also on the same timeline, but they're set in modern day.
Okay. Because yeah, so
and they're one of the few that's actually a direct sequel. The Dawn of Sorrow.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Castlevania franchise because the only Castlevanias I played Symphony of the Night, Lords of Shadow 1, and now Mirror of Fate, and I'm planning on playing Lords of Shadow 2 this month. So other than that, I have the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which is all the classic platformers, and I also have the Castlevania Advance Collection, which are the Game Boy Advance.
Both of those achievement sets are super easy, though.
And I will be getting the Dominus Collection eventually, but I don't have it yet because it hasn't gone on a big enough sale.
If you want actual challenging achievement sets, you go to the Retro Achievements.
Retro Achievements ones, yeah. So, but yeah, so that pretty much covers everything on Mirror of Fate. One thing that I just want to talk about while we're on the topic of Castlevania is that in preparation to start playing Lord of Shadow 2, I loaded it up a couple nights ago. And I haven't played it in, let me go to the series here. Because I started that one in 2019 as well. Because that's when I started Lord of Shadow 1, 2, and Mirror of Fate. Let's see here. Yeah, all around March. That's when I started my Bean Dive. So I've got 11 out of the 56 achievements already. I've got 4 in 2019, 3 in 2020, 3 and 4 in 2022. So I got a couple achievements spread out by like a year each. So, and that was because I use those achievements for certain contests. So now that I'm actually going to go through and play it, I'm starting it from the beginning. Oh my God. Lords of Shadow 2 was driving me insane because this game is literally impossible to delete your save and start over. Whoever designed like the menu system in this game is the biggest idiot I've ever seen in my life. I literally...
At that point, you might as well have just done it from the Xbox itself.
Well, so there's because when you launch the game, there's no main menu. It goes straight into the game. The main menu is like your pause menu, but your pause menu doesn't have things like, select a save slot or delete your save. There's literally no option in game to delete your save and start over. It does not exist. So I was like, okay, I'll go into the Xbox save settings and I'll delete my save. There's no save on the Xbox to delete.
Oh, you're doing it through the backwards compatibility?
Yeah, I'm playing. I was playing on my Series X, and
there's a way to delete your save file even there.
There is, but not for this game, because normally you can see your save file and you can delete it. The only thing that exists on the Series X or Xbox One, if you play this game, is reserve space. I don't know what that is, but it does not contain your save data. It is not possible to delete your save on this game on a Series X or an Xbox One and start over. It's impossible. The only possible way I could do it is I had to So first of all, because it's it's a 360 game, it's an Xbox Live Arcade game. So I loaded up my 360. I don't have it installed because it's backwards compatible because I was never planning on playing on my 360. I'm going to play it on my Series X. And the store doesn't exist anymore, so I couldn't go to the store and download. I had to go scroll through my download history to find it. Fortunately, I was able to find it in even though I've got 15 years of download history to scroll through, I was able to find it in a minute or two, which is a miracle in and of itself because you can only see 4 items per page. 4 items per page on the 360 in the download.
They really needed to fix that before they shut down this store.
They should have. It's garbage. But anyways, I found it. I re-downloaded it. Even though it's let's see here, it's 4 gigs. It took an hour because the 360 download speed is god awful. And I loaded it up on my 360. And after I did this, I realized I didn't actually. Oh, wait. Sorry. This is Lords of Shadow 2. Yes, that's why okay. I was thinking I was talking about Mirror Fate. Yeah, so it's 4 gigs. And it took a while to
I'm so glad I have the physical copy.
I have the physical copy of Lords of Shadow 1, but I have the digital copy of Lords of Shadow 2 because I got it through Games with Gold. But anyways, I didn't. After I downloaded and installed the game, booted up, I realized I didn't actually need to download the game. But I tried booting it up. I downloaded the game. I booted it up to see if anything was different on the 360, and it wasn't. So fortunately, on the 360, I was able to go into the system and go to the
cloud save.
Where you select your internal storage, your memory card, your cloud save, and I went to all of those and I deleted it from there. And then I went back to my Xbox One or my Series X, loaded up the game, and it started me from the beginning of the game. But oh my God, was that a huge pain in the butt? I was so furious at how stupidly retarded this process was. But I got it deleted.
Glad I still have my 360 hooked up, so it's not that big of a deal for me.
Yeah, if it wasn't for me having still a bunch of non-backwards compatible games that I'm going to be playing, I probably wouldn't have my 360 hooked up. But because I still have a bunch of backwards compatible games I want to play, I still have it hooked up. But
I mean,
so I didn't have to.
I technically have 5, actually 6. I think it's 6 consoles that I mainly have plugged in: Series X, 360, PS3, PS4, or not PS4, PS5. Because why have the PS4 hooked up? Because PS5 is just a upgraded PS4 at this point.
Okay, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure.
Wii U and Switch.
Okay, but yeah. So after
and
that,
the Wii U is hacked. So
after all that, I got the save data deleted, and I am able to play it on my Series X from the beginning of the game. But that was so annoying and frustrating. I'm just trying to start the game over. Oh my goodness. So, and we got Scranton Dogs over on Twitch saying, "Hey Neo, good to see you, Scranton Dogs. I know I've seen you before. I forget who you are, but it's good to see you.
He's a person.
Glad you're here." And Nightmare saying, "Oh, games like that can be so infuriating." Yeah, there's no main menu. I was first it took me. I was looking for around the game for 10 minutes. Where the F is the freaking main menu? And I go online and people are like, yeah, I found forums of people talking about this game and there's no main menu and people talk about how do I start the game over? And almost everything I found was for the Steam version. And they're like, oh, go into here's the file path to go and delete your files so you can start the game over. I'm like, I'm playing on Xbox. I don't have a file path. I can't do that. I literally found nothing online for how to delete it. I just had to figure it out for myself. So, oh, you're a friend from TA. Oh, cool. Well, glad you're here and listen to us rant. Oh, at least me rant at the moment about my
being a friend from TA is better than having a friend from the TSA. We all know why you're friends with the TSA.
Yeah. But glad you're here listening to us talk about achievements and me rant about how annoying Lord of Shadow 2 is to delete your save. So once I finish playing the game I'm currently playing at the moment, which I'll talk about at the end briefly because I didn't start playing it again until yesterday. So it'll be something I'll talk about more next month, but I'll briefly touch on it. Once I'm done with that, because it's leaving Game Pass, then I am going to be getting to Lord of Shadow 2. So, oh, and Paul's here as well saying, hey, what's up, Paul?
Yep, finally finished streaming.
I'm assuming that you're on the Elden Ring stream. Good to see you. And yeah, I was just ranting about Castlevania Lord of Shadow 2 is a royal pain in the butt to delete your save and start the game over again. So you would love it. So if you missed it, go back and hear me rant for the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So with that, we'll go ahead and go to Dude for whatever his first game is for tonight.
I'll go ahead and start with the game I was talking about last month again, because I'm streaming it, but I finally finished it this year, this month, and technically this year yet. So, and that would be Wind Waker.
Wind Waker, all right.
Finally completed it, and mostly it was just me finishing up the all the side questing and all that. Finished up the Nintendo Gallery in the first playthrough, which was just a lot of sailing back and forth, because especially for the bosses, you want to make sure you got them right. And then and of course finishing up the final dungeons. Ended up doing the Savage Labyrinth entirely without, and there was an achievement for that one where you only take 15 hearts of damage throughout it without using any magic at all. And what sucks is that the first time I tried it, I accidentally messed up and accidentally used magic on the last floor.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, because of the way the bow and arrow works. If you press the R button, which is also your shield button, it'll change which arrow type you're using. Like your normal
switch
fire,
from like regular arrows to fire, just some sort of magic arrow.
And I didn't realize that happened because I was switching back and forth between the bow and the shield.
Oh, that's annoying.
So whenever I finally fired, it used fire, and I'm like, damn it. And the thing that sucks even worse, it was on the final floor.
Oh, so I had to go do the whole thing over again.
Yep, all 50 floors over again.
Oh goodness, that's a pain. That's not something that you could have gotten locked out of though if you had beaten it. Like you can
I could have gone right back in, but I still, since I had everything all built up, like all of my arrows and bombs, the next time I went in, I purposely made sure all of my magic was gone, so I wouldn't have even
depleted it all first, so you couldn't do it by accident.
Yep.
Nice. So you got the 100% completion on Wind Waker.
It did take me about 4 more streams after doing the first playthrough to get that 3-heart challenge done.
Okay. I was going to say, how many streams was it total? And how many streams was it for the 3-heart challenge?
I'd have to look it up, but give me one moment.
Okay. So
it was quite a bit, but I did all of it on stream.
Yeah, that was your stream game, so I know your entire playthrough was on stream. So while he's looking for that,
20 streams altogether.
Oh wow!
So
yeah, that's
lots of it was sailing.
I will be doing that one at some point. I don't know when. Maybe we'll get to it this year. We shall see. But I'm definitely gonna be beating it. I will. It sounds like the mastery is not too bad, so I'll likely master it as well.
It's not terrible. Like the only one be honest, the problem is, of course, the Nintendo Gallery. That's just annoying in and of itself.
Yeah.
And then of course you have the 3-heart challenge. But most of the boss challenges, I did them after a couple tries. Most of them I did them on the first try.
Nice.
So they weren't too terrible. Like one of them was just use the iron boots throughout the fight, and as long as you know what you're doing, you're not in any danger of actually dying.
Okay, yeah, I think I remember you mentioning that. I don't know if that was on stream or not, but I do remember you talking about that.
Let me look.
Why the
which
heck
one?
Does it keep...
I think it was the one where you fight the Wizrobe that spawns enemies. Yeah.
Oh, I do remember that fight.
And you can't be resurrected either. So, but you can take as much damage as you want, or use the magic armor.
There was a magic armor in Wind Waker?
Yes, it just used magic.
I don't remember that. I remember the magic armor in Twilight Princess, but I don't remember it in Wind Waker.
You have to get it by doing the trading quest. You only have to do 3 of them though, but you still need to go all the way for a heart piece. So
I'm sure I probably did it. I'll have to boot up my copy of Wind Waker at some point and see what I have on my character before I get back to playing Wind Waker at some point.
Yeah. There was also an achievement for beating Puppet Ganon without leaving the water, and the problem with that is that that boss fight is in a circular room, but the water is in is in a circle outside of a circle. So, like the outer edge and the inner portion of the room are not water. So you got to pay attention where you are. For the first 2 phases, it wasn't too terrible, but that third phase is really annoying because of you know how the snake enemies are in the 2D Zelda games. The snake boss, the one where it has the big head and just runs around and you have to hit the tail.
Oh yeah.
It's exactly like that, but you have to hit it with a bow and arrow.
Oh my goodness. How many attempts did that take?
That one only took me about 3 tries.
Okay.
It took me about as many tries to do on the 3 heart challenge, though. That's just because of that final phase. Final phase was a
Was a pain.
Yes. I almost forgot this isn't a Dude Souls stream.
Yeah. Try not to. So, all right. So, yeah, I said I will be playing it. I don't know when, but
I need just to get back to clipping out my streams and putting up guides.
For guides, that's right. So,
just been busy with other things.
I'll link that at the end. But yeah, I'll put that in the stream description as well, because normally I just link your regular channel. But yeah, so if you're looking for achievement guides for stuff that we're talking about, Dude has his own Rumble channel just for achievement guides. So I will drop that link.
Currently, I only have about 10 guides made for Super Mario Sunshine, and those are all from my very first stream of Sunshine.
I will need those because I will be playing that this year for sure, because that's the game that Canadian challenged me to.
There are some achievements in that game that are really difficult, but they aren't missable, and it's just you gotta keep trying them over and over again.
Okay. Because yes, I'm going to be doing Super Mario World first because I haven't played that game in forever, and then I'm going to do Mario 64, and then
you can beat that game in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm going to go for as close to a complete, mastery as possible without spending too much time on it. I could just go for the story completion very quickly. I haven't played it since N64 days, so it's been a very, very long time since I played it, so I couldn't beat it that quickly if I wanted to. But yeah, I do know that people speed run it, and it's nuts. But
well, no, it's because you can just take like two secret exits, and you're already out. You're already at the Bowser's castle.
Oh, I don't even know about that. But I'm going to be getting. I do plan to get all the stars when I do play through it. So, I'll be doing.
I thought you said Super Mario World.
Oh, well, I did say Super Mario World, and then I said Mario 64. So, are you talking about Mario 64?
I was talking about Mario World because that's the one you said.
Oh, because I did say Mario 64, and then you started talking about that, so I thought that's what you were talking about. You were talking about Super Mario World, then.
Yep.
Okay, I am more familiar with that one because that was the very first video game I ever owned, and I have beaten it a lot of times. It's been a long time since I played it, but not as long. I played that much more recently than I played Mario 64.
Ever since they took out all the achievements for getting every coin in every level, Super Mario 64's achievement set is mostly tame.
Okay.
There's a couple of achievements that are difficult, but they at least challenge you in a way that's actually enjoyable.
So, because of how our challenge is for doing multiple games, like not necessarily chronologically, like in the storyline, but like when they released, you get bonus points for them. So that's why I'm going to do Super Mario World first. I don't know if I'm going to master it. I haven't looked at the achievement set, so I don't really know what Super Mario achievement set looks like.
Yeah, well, if you look at the Mario franchise, that's not the order that they came out in. There's actually some games in between.
Well, yeah, I know there was like the original Mario Bros games, but like different like sets of games count as like different franchises essentially. So like Mario Bros 1, 2, and 3 would like count as one, but like Super Mario, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine would be like a different one. I could do Mario 1, 2, and 3, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start with Super Mario World and do 64 and then Sunshine. So Sunshine I've never played before.
I'm looking up because they actually revamped the series hubs on Retro Achievements.
Oh, okay.
I'm going by release date.
So
because I'll go from Super Mario 64 up.
Okay.
Although some of these are like spin-offs, so I won't count those ones. So okay, I need to go back a little bit.
But I'm gonna try to get as many
So
of
many
the
Mario
achievements
games.
in Super Mario World as possible. I don't know if I'll master it. I'll have to look at the achievement set first. But then when I do
Just
Super
let you know,
Mario
the
64,
next mainline Mario game after Mario World is Super Mario Land 2.
that's a Game Boy game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's like a different Mario franchise, so that one wouldn't count.
No, it's not.
For our purposes, it's a
Are you
separate
sure?
Mario franchise. Yeah. But when I do get to Mario 64, I'm going to go for all 120 stars. Is it
120? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Also, Super Mario All Stars came out afterwards.
That's true. So, but yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go for the 120 stars on Mario 64. I don't know if I'll go for the
Also,
mastery.
don't forget Yoshi's Island.
I'll have to look at that one actually probably would count. Crap, I didn't think about that. I forgot that game even exists. I never played that one.
Even though it's the better 2D Mario game.
It's better?
Yes.
Than Super Mario World?
Yes.
And you're babysitting annoying crying Mario?
Yes.
All right. Well,
the platforming is better, and I like collecting things.
Okay. Well, I didn't think about that, so I may actually have to throw that one in there in order to get the extra bonus points for consecutive games. Shoot.
Because then that's after Mario World 2, it's the Super Mario 64.
Shoot, but
going down.
I guess it would be a good reason to play it. So,
yep.
But yeah, I've never even looked at the achievements for that one, but I'm going to try to get as many achievements as possible without having to spend too much time going out of the way for all of them for Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Mario 64, and Sunshine. So, yeah. So, and I totally missed this when Nightmare said it earlier. Also, Lords of Shadow 2 is awesome for the story. So, cool. I've not heard a lot of good things about Lords of Shadow 2. I've heard that it's very mediocre. And from what little I've played, I agree. Hopefully the story is good. I don't remember any of the story from the couple of hours of it that I have played. But yeah, hopefully it is good. So, yeah, shoot. Let me go ahead. I'm going to go add Yoshi's Island since I totally forgot that game existed.
Thing is, though, I can beat that. I can 100% that game in less than a week.
Yoshi's Island. No, not Nintendo DS, not game. Why isn't the first one that comes up Super Mario or the Super Nintendo one? There it is. Yeah. So, you didn't even look at the dude being all modest. He wrote some of the achievements for Yoshi's Island. He's not even going to mention it. So Yoshi's Island has where's the total? 64 achievements, and he wrote 21 of them. So I'm assuming that means that someone came along afterwards and added more. So
most of my achievements were actually just 100%ing the game, and then I put it to 400 points. But then after they did the change to how points work and all that, someone came in and added a bunch more.
So since I see that there's 3 people on this, does that mean that the dissection had an achievement set first, and then you added to his, and then someone else came along and added to yours?
I think that's what it was, because there was a couple people that made whenever the site first came up, there were a couple of people who made very basic achievements, just as for like concept. I was one of the first people that came in and actually started like filling out lists.
Gotcha. Okay. So
and actually making full lists for a game.
All right.
And then after I left, they changed how points work and all that, so then because of that, they could start adding more than just like what we had done at the time.
Okay. Yeah, dude being all modest. He wrote some of the achievements for Yoshi's Island, so that's another thing to boost it up to get me to play it. If he wrote achievements for it, I'm definitely more open to playing it. So all right. Well, I said I forgot that one even existed, and I've never played it. So I will be doing Super Mario, then Yoshi's Island, then Mario 64.
I mean, I'm someone who thinks that Yoshi's Island and the entire Donkey Kong Country trilogy is better than Super Mario World 1.
Wow. I don't know about Yoshi's Island since I haven't played it, but I would agree with you on Donkey Kong Countries 1, 2, and 3 because those are my platformers of choice. I was never.
I'm just someone who thinks that the original Super Mario World is overrated.
Oh, I knew you were going to say it's overrated. So it's good, but I also think it's overrated. I will take Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, or 3 any day over a Mario game. So,
maybe you should go through that series whenever you're going for for challenges.
I started Donkey Kong Country and got a few achievements because it came up on a roulette stream, but I've since deleted it because I'm going to start it and like play through it in its entirety. So, and when I do that, I'm going to do Donkey Kong 1, 2 Countries 1, 2, and 3, and I will very likely do that this year.
I did all 3 of those on stream. So
yes, you did, and since all 3 of those would count towards our challenges, games in a series, then I'm absolutely doing.
The only problem is that they're all on Super Nintendo.
What's the problem with that?
Wasn't part of it trying to get more and more consoles? Also?
Oh, yeah. So one of the parts is beating games on different consoles. So yes, that since all 3 of them would be on the same console, you wouldn't get credit towards multiple consoles, but you would get bonus points for completing multiple games in a series. But they're not terribly long either, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But I'm absolutely playing Donkey Kong Countries 1, 2, and 3 this year for sure.
And the hardest achievements in those are the speedrun achievements.
Yeah, probably.
So I was able to get Donkey Kong Country 1's pretty easily. 2's pretty simple because you can like skip half the game through warp barrels, and then 3 actually ended up getting casually a bit more or less.
Yeah.
So 2 is definitely the worst one.
Okay. I'm very much looking forward to playing through those because I haven't played 1 and 2 in forever since I never actually owned them. I have beaten them, but I never owned them myself. It was 3 was the Donkey Kong Country 3 was the only one I actually owned, and I've 100%ed that one.
I can't wait until we get Wii so we can get Donkey Kong Country Returns.
So
and actually be able to turn off the waggle and put it onto a button.
Never played Donkey Kong Country Returns, but
rolling in the original games.
Yes,
rolling was tied to waggle.
Wow, that is awful.
That should tell you everything you need to know.
Because I know that Donkey Kong Country Returns is on Switch, and I'm very much enticed to pick it up at some point.
From what I've heard, it's a very lazy port, but that's not the worst thing. I mean, that's not the worst thing they could have done. So.
Oh, yeah. So, but yeah, very much looking forward to playing through Donkey Kong Countries 1, 2, and 3, but 1 and 2 for the first time in decades. So, but okay. Oh, and Nightmare saying there's a Star Wars-like aspect to Lord of Shadow 2 story that I like. Cool. So,
you mean classic Star Wars, right?
Yeah, real Star Wars. We don't talk about the fake Star Wars. So,
Carl was here. He'd be saying it is real.
God, it freaking pisses me off with that crap. But yeah, so anything else on Wind Waker?
No, because I've talked about it the past two times, I think. So it's just finally done.
All right.
Finally in the done category until the Wii U gets achievements.
Oh, that one, yeah. Wii U gets achievements, and you can play Wind Waker HD again.
Yep.
So
that one will be so much better.
Yes.
Even the gallery will be so much better because in the original game, whenever you take pictures of enemies, they don't tell you that it's actually going to work for the gallery. You can only get 3 at a time, and for each one you turn in, you have to wind the clock for a day for each individual picture
you turn in. So every time you have 3, you got to fast forward time a day in order to turn in the next one.
Meanwhile, HD, it automatically gives you the deluxe pictograph, so you can start doing things immediately. You can start working on it immediately. You can save 12 pictures, and you can turn in all 12 pictures in a single day. It tells you that it tells you you can create a figurine with this picture
when you're taking the picture.
Yes, when you take it.
So many quality of life improvements that I've heard because I've never played a Wii U. I've never even touched a Wii U much.
I haven't played Wind Waker on HD on the Wii U, but I just know that all these things from looking it up, and I'm like,
yeah,
I can't wait to play the Wind Waker one on HD whenever it finally gets achievements.
Yeah, I've never even actually seen a Wii U in real life, but I've heard that the Wii U version of Wind Waker has so many nice quality of life improvements, which basically alleviates all of why I don't care for Wind Waker that much because of all the tedious crap, exactly like you're talking about. They fixed that. From what I hear, they fixed that in the Wii U version.
And the fact is that Twilight Princess had mostly small quality of life improvements compared to Wind Waker.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Nightmare saying the original trilogy, real Star Wars, yeah. So,
okay. Well, I think he's someone who thinks that even the prequel trilogy isn't real Star Wars.
Yeah, he might. I don't know. Nightmare. What's your take on the prequels? I'd be curious to hear. But anyways, so my next one was a one that I did most of it on stream with Dude here as my coach, was Dark Souls. So finally beat Dark Souls, and we've
I might as
dubbed
well pull this up because it's also one of the games I'm talking to top out, and that's
Dark
because
Souls.
the next stream afterwards was me starting it.
Yeah. So we dubbed January 15th Dude Souls Day because that is the day I finally beat Dark Souls, and it was great. And then in the week after, because we started that back in August,
Yeah.
and we did it almost every Wednesday. There was like we did 2 weeks off in December, and I think there was only 2 other Wednesdays we took off for various reasons. So it was pretty consistent basically since we started. I want to say it was in August.
Yeah.
But finally beat it. And then after I beat it, I basically, over the course of, I think, the next week, you know what? Let me pull it up here while I'm talking about it, because I beat it on the 15th. Let's see here. Where is the story complete flag? There it is. Yeah, January 15th. And then I went through and did a second playthrough and got all the remaining achievements. So I now have the 100% completion in Dark Souls Remastered. And I got that on the 25th. So over the next 10 days, I completed all of the rest of the achievements, which required a full second playthrough and a lot of monotonous going back and forth between vendors and buying stuff and following really obscure quest lines to get certain items so that I could buy certain things from certain people. It was a pain and really annoying, and I had to keep the Dark Souls wiki on speed dial in order to figure out where all this crap was. But it wasn't too bad, and made it through and beat the game and got all the achievements. One thing that was, I was majorly shooting myself in the foot because I text my buddy Razik after I realized this, and I messaged you on Discord as well. But he replied to me on text like immediately. He's like, "Oh yeah, dude told you that already." I'm like, "Well, I don't remember that because we've been doing this for a long time." But one of my very last achievement was for acquiring all miracles, and one of the miracles that you need in order to get that achievement, the only way to do it is by joining the Gravekeeper Servant covenant, which you can only do before you defeat Nito. And you have to join the covenant and then offer up like 10 eyes of something, which I had the eyes, but I didn't realize until after I beat, like literally right after I beat Nito, I looked up the remaining miracles I needed, and it's like, oh, you have to join Nito's covenant in order to do this. I'm like, F. So I had to. So once I beat the game again, which I had so much more trouble beating Gwyn on the second playthrough than I did on the first playthrough, when all the other bosses were way easier on the second playthrough.
They're not that much. Well, it's because they do increase their scaling, but you also tend to know their attack patterns.
Yeah, but yeah, Gwyn, I died probably twice as many times on the second playthrough as I did on the first one on stream. So that one, I was freaking raging at that. But I finally beat it, and I had to start a third playthrough. Fortunately, in order to join Nito's Covenant, you can do it basically right at the beginning of the game. As soon as you get to Firelink, you don't have, it doesn't require anything. You just got to go down into the catacombs. So I beelined it straight there, and you
just had to make sure you grinded out the eyes.
I already had all the eyes.
Yeah.
So I had the requirements. I just needed to go join his covenant. So from the start of my third playthrough, it took me like maybe an hour to get down through the catacombs and get to where that covenant was, and turn in those eyes. And I got that last miracle and got the final achievement on January 25th. So, and I didn't know this until I going for it, but I was like, crap, I'm going to fight that god dang Titanite demon in that tiny little hallway again. Fortunately, the casket that you have to lay in order to get to that covenant is far enough away that you don't aggro him. So I was able to go get in the casket without having to fight that stupid Titanite demon. However, I did the Titanite demon in the I don't know what the area is called, but that save the bonfire that I save at before I go and fight Ornstein and Smo, where you're in that like mansion that's got like 3 or 4 floors.
Yeah, the Silver Knight Mansion.
The Silver Knight Mansion, yeah.
And Orlando.
In Anne Orlando, I just wasn't sure what that area was called, but the Silver Knight Mansion, there was a Titanite demon in there that I did not go and fight on stream, but I was like, you know what the heck, I'll go fight it this time, and I beat him, but man, that was a pain in the butt. It took me probably like 15 tries, because it's not a very big room, but you can move around him. It's not too narrow.
And if you need to get away from him, you can get out of the room.
That was the only thing that saved me. I had to do that a few times because it's a small room, so you barely have enough room to get out of his reach, because he can hit you almost anywhere in that room because his range is so far. But I did beat him as well, which I did not do on stream on the first time.
But you can't get through the door, so
yeah, you can't get through the door. So,
how do you get in there?
That's a good question. How do you get in there in the first place? But one thing that I messaged you on Discord that I want to talk about is when I fought Ornstein and Smo on my second playthrough, there was absolutely no way in hell I was going to do that solo. So I made sure that I was able to summon Solaire in order to help me with that fight. And because the first time I did it, when it was on stream, you have to kill each one of them first in order to get their boss souls. So when we did it on stream, I beat
maybe Ornstein first.
Is Ornstein the Dragon Slayer? Or wait, no. He's the Executioner.
Ornstein is the one with the spear.
Okay, Ornstein's the small guy with the spear. And he's the Dragon Slayer. And Smo is the large guy with the hammer, and he's the Dragon Slayer. Is that right?
I think they're both Dragon Slayers, yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
You just said that too.
Well, because one's considered the Executioner and the other one's considered the Dragon Slayer. At least I thought.
I mean, I don't really know. I never really looked into that, but
anyway, okay. So Ornstein's the small one, and Smo is the big one.
Yes.
Okay.
And what's funny is that Ornstein is reused as a boss fight in the second game, but just by himself.
Oh, interesting.
And you can actually fight him pretty early on too.
So, anyway, since I fought Ornstein. I beat him first when we did it on stream in my first playthrough, which means on this playthrough, I had to beat Smo first in order to get his boss soul. So it took me 3 tries to beat it correctly, I should add. So the first time I did the boss fight, Solaire killed Ornstein before I could kill Smo. I'm like, how did you do that? He's basically just supposed to be there as a distraction. He's
usually that's what Solaire is, but I guess once he just decimated his opponent.
In everything that I saw in the wikis and in any achievement guides I saw said that he doesn't really do a whole lot other than distract, and that's all you really need him to do. He killed Ornstein before I could kill Smo. Smo was still at like half health, and he'd killed Ornstein all by himself. I'm like, dude, chill. So you
couldn't tell me to chill. I wasn't there.
No, not you, dude. I did it again. So I force quit the game and reloaded my save. And I didn't know this, but if you force quit, you don't start at your last bonfire. You start right outside the boss fight. So Solaire was right there, so I didn't have to do anything. I just had to walk through the mist again. And
it's because of the way the game saves.
Yeah. So I didn't even know that. So I didn't have to go from the bonfire. I didn't have to re-summon Solaire. So I went into the boss fight, and let's see here. What did I say happened? I think I beat Smo, but then Ornstein killed me after I beat Smo. So then on my
did he hit you with the grab?
I think so. I don't remember exactly what happened, but he killed me. And so on my I had to go, I restarted from the bonfire. I had to rekindle and then resummon Solaire. Went into the boss fight on the third try, and I beat Smo. And then Ornstein, right as I beat Smo, Ornstein killed Solaire. So it was a one-on-one, me and Ornstein, and we both had full health, and it was an epic battle, and I won by like the skin of my teeth. It was pretty epic. I wish I was streaming it, because it was a pretty epic boss fight. But I was able to beat them, correctly on the third attempt in the correct
Still
order.
amazing to me that you actually only gave Dark Souls a 2-star, because you actually seem to be actually enjoying it after
the second playthrough, yes, was much better. I still didn't enjoy it, but the thing that kept me going on the second playthrough is the achievements came a lot faster than they did on the first playthrough. So that's kind of what kept me going.
I think the later games, they definitely do a bit better job with giving you achievements over the course. I think they tend to be the same idea, but it's just because they want you to collect everything.
But yeah, I was.
But there's also more bosses that give achievements, so I think that's the reason why the first playthrough seems to give you more achievements.
Okay, but yeah, I was considering giving it even lower than 2 out of 5, but
it sounds like more you should have given it a 3.
6 out of 10. No, I would not give it that much. But one other 2 more things to mention. I did save these clips and I posted them to my Xbox profile if you want to go look at them. It was just funny, stupid. One of them was in the Demon Runes right before the fog door to the I forget what it's called, but it's the Asylum Demon, but the one that's on fire.
Oh yeah, the Fire Demon.
But it's in the Demon Runes, not in the Undead Asylum.
Yeah, Fire Demon.
The Fire Demon. Okay. So right before that, there's a Taurus Demon, and right in front of him is one of those like centipede demons or whatever.
The centipede demon is the boss.
That's a boss. But it looks like a centipede. It's a centipede bug. I hit him and I fell through the floor and died.
I've never seen that before.
I had not seen that before either, so I recorded it. It's on my profile. If you go on Xbox and look at my profile, because I just found out that I knew this was happening, but I didn't realize it actually happened. Xbox wiped all saved clips unless you like made special preparations for them. So all the clips that I had on my profile since Xbox One came out are all gone. So now I only have 2 clips on there, and
I'm glad I saved a lot of my old ones, because I was running out of room, so I just saved them to my computer and then deleted them. But
I didn't really care about them. But most of them were me just clips of funny stuff that happened in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer.
I've got quite a few from when I was playing Halo and Call of Duty and some of those other, and Warframe.
But yeah, it was weird. I did an overhead strike, and I don't know if I killed him or not, but I fell through the ground and I died. And then another clip, I
think that might be one of those things that happened because they updated the engine. Because in the original game, I think it was a 30 frames per second game on 360 and PS3.
Okay.
But on the remaster, they upgraded to 60 frames per second. So I think some interactions in the game get messed up because of that.
That very well could be. But then the other clip I have on there was in the Duke's archive when I was trying to grind out those I guess they're called the channelers. Yeah. I needed the Trident because that's the only place in the game that those guys respawn, and their drop rate is really low.
It's one of the worst grinds in the game.
Fortunately, I didn't have to grind it for probably more than like 30 minutes. But yeah, that was the one that I probably had to spend the most time on grinding a single item. But anyways, there was I have a clip of it where I'm on the rotating staircase while it's rotating because I pulled a lever and then he got on it. And so I did a jump attack. Mind you, I have about 80% of my health at the moment. I do a jump attack as he's swinging. We both hit each other at the same time and we both die. It was no surprise that I killed him because I did a jump attack, 2-handed jump attack. I had 80% of my health and he killed me in one hit.
I wonder if it was because of the way if you were both on a rotating staircase, maybe the momentum helped with that or something.
That could be, because I was like, what the the crap was that?
It's just one of those weird
80%
interactions with
of
the
my
way the
health
engine
in
works.
one hit. But it was funny because, you know, the bonfire was right there, so it's not, I like just respawned, so it's not like I lost really anything, but it was pretty funny. So you can go check out my profile on Xbox and look at those clips.
One of those fun engine interactions that you don't see very often.
Yeah. So Scranton Dog saying the prequels are great in my opinion. Yes, they are. Nightmare says I like the prequels. Okay, my favorite Star Wars games are Force Unleashed after all. Okay. Force Unleashed games are fun. I don't think they're good games, but they are fun. So that tells you my Star Wars tastes. And Paul saying Neo loves Dark Souls. That is a lie. I do not love Dark Souls. Hey, Nerd Takes is here. What's up, Jay? Good to see you tonight.
I think you can enjoy them, but you're not going to love them.
I enjoyed parts of it. I will give it that. I enjoyed parts of it. The absolute worst thing on the second playthrough, and I almost, for this sole reason, I almost dropped my rating from 2 to 1.5, or maybe even a 1, is those effing skeleton wheel demon douchebags in the freaking catacombs. One of them can kill you from full health. I died more to those guys than anything else in my second playthrough. I seriously probably died to those guys like 30 times. F the freaking spinning skeleton wheel demons. F them straight to hell. I hate.
And there's a version of them in every Souls game.
Those are the worst enemy in the entire freaking game.
I think there's even a version of them in Elden Ring.
Oh God, those might be my. We talked about on Party Chat one time, most annoying enemies. This was long before I played Dark Souls. Those are probably my now number one most annoying enemy of all time. F those guys. Because every time they touch you and do the slightest bit of damage, it staggers you. And you get staggered and you're basically stun locked and they'll kill you from full health. Especially if there's more than one, which there usually are. So what I did was I equipped Havel's armor and the poise ring, whatever that one was called.
The wolf ring.
The wolf ring. That way I could tank it and I don't stagger and I can just hit them through the damage. I was like, screw this. I'm just going to tank you guys and I'll take the hit as long as I can get the swing off. And with that,
that's you using your inventory correctly.
So yeah, anytime I was down there, I had that ring and that armor equipped because those guys are pissing me off so freaking much. Because then I can get hit and not get staggered, and I can still hit them because it only takes one hit to kill them. But when they stagger you with every tiny little itty bitty hit, it's almost impossible to kill them.
They're the ultimate glass cannon in Dark Souls.
Yes, they are. So I freaking hate those guys, and it baffles me that Dark Souls has a 4.68 out of 5 stars on True Achievements. So.
Meanwhile, we only did one stream of this, and I got so far with only 7 deaths.
That's right. So after I finished it, we're doing reverse Dark Soul or reverse Dude Souls, where now Dude is playing, and I'm watching him play through. And so we've got a death counter on his, and I think we're at like 9. And he got farther in one stream than I'd have to go back and look. But I think it took me 3 streams to get how far he got in just one stream. And I haven't finished getting it, but I'm going through, and I'll finish this before next Wednesday when we do the next episode of Dude Souls. I'm going through my streams and getting kind of like how in racing games you have a split, like how much better you're doing after each lap or each section of a track. And it shows you, oh, you're 0.3 seconds ahead of last time, or you're 0.2 seconds behind last time. I'm going and getting how many deaths I was at each major boss. And so I started adding that late into the last stream. So currently I have all my death counts up through Seath. So I'm pretty far, but I'm going to go get the rest of the death counts. So I'll have that on stream so you can compare how many deaths I had versus how many deaths Dude had. And it's pretty funny. So
you got to remember this is my 4th character now. So
you played it plenty of times. So I think the last thing you did was beat the Gaping Dragon.
Yep.
And you are at, I want to say you're at 9 deaths. I'd have to.
I could have swore it was 7.
It could be. I'm just going off the top of my head, but it's not very many. And when I beat Gaping Dragon,
it's still single digits.
I was at 78 deaths. So just to give you a little tease on how many deaths I had compared to how many deaths Dudes had in his playthrough. So, but yeah. we'll be back with Dude Souls next Wednesday, and you can see him annihilate the game and show me how boss he is at it. But he is playing the PS3 version. He's like, hey, if I'm going to play it again, might as well get some credit for it. So he's playing the PS3 version for the first time, so he can get PS3 trophies. So, anything you wanted to talk about, dude? Dark Souls?
Nope, I've already talked. We've pretty much been talking about it all for a while because you seem to hate it and I seem to love it.
Oh, one thing that I this had to have just changed recently, because when I originally started Dark Souls Remastered, it said 40 to 50 hour completion estimate, and I was like, that's because everyone who's is playing Dark Souls Remastered already played through it on the original version and know what they're doing. Because I went and looked at the completion estimate on the original Dark Souls on 360, and it was like, it
60 to 80.
It was probably 60 to 80. But since I started Dark Souls Remastered, it is now also at a 60 to 80 completion estimate. So it bumped up. I think I've seen this on a few games recently, that they're making some of the completion estimate times a little more accurate, so they're not so swayed by people who have already played it and now are playing it again on another version who are doing it faster. So you get a better idea of how much it takes playing it through the first time without any knowledge. So according to True Achievements, it says it's 60, 80 hour completion. I had 91 hours according to True Achievements. So
because
not terribly
according to
inaccurate.
my character I did on Xbox One for that achievement set, I actually did it in 40 hours.
Yeah, you'd already done it before though.
Yep.
So the 60 to 80 hour completion is pretty accurate. So, all right, dude. What do you got next?
Well, I think I can talk about another Zelda game that I completed, and that is the Four Swords Adventures.
Four Swords Adventures. Oh, okay. I didn't even know you. Oh, you weren't doing that one on stream though, were you?
No, I wasn't doing this one on stream because it's not really a typical Zelda game. It's like a it's more of an action game than it is a adventure game.
And okay, because I know that one exists. I always thought it was 4-player. Can you play with 4-player, or is it just 1-player but you control 4 characters?
You could do both.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't entirely sure. Or no,
Yes.
Well, actually, originally I thought you could only play it with 4 people, and if you didn't have 4 people, you couldn't play it. It wasn't until recently when I was talking to you about it, and you said, no, you can play it solo, and you just control all 4 characters.
You can play with as many people as you want. It's just the extra character becomes an extra character for one of the players. Kind of like how the single player you control all 4 at the same time.
Okay.
But to do the puzzles that you would need 4 people in separate places, that you can separate.
Okay.
So, and control each one by themselves, and they can't take damage whenever they're in that state. They also can't take damage if they're just following you, but if you're in a formation, all 4 links can get hit.
Okay. That makes sense. So, what other than like I've seen a couple clips of like how it plays, like what Zelda would you say it's closest to? Is it closest to Link to the Past?
It plays like Link to the Past and has a lot in common with Link to the Past, especially like the way the sprite work is done. And the way the world looks. So because it does feel a lot like A Link to the Past, but it has like more modern characters in it, like Tingle.
Okay.
So
now, because that's GameCube, wasn't there also a Four Swords adventure on Game Boy Advance?
Yes, it was attached to Link to the Past on Game Boy Advance.
Okay, it's both games on one cartridge.
Yes,
that's right. You told me about that recently. So, have you played the Game Boy Advance one?
I have not, because you need more than one person for that.
Oh, that's what I was thinking about. So that one you have to have 4 people to play.
Yes.
Okay, but the GameCube version you do not.
Nope.
Okay. Do you know if the games are basically the same game?
They're not the same game.
They're not different. Okay.
They're different. I think the Game Boy Advance game is referenced in the intro to Adventures.
Oh, because the Game Boy Advance one came first, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's why I was.
And it's one of the and that Game Boy Advance one is one of the few Zelda games you don't fight Ganon or Ganondorf.
Oh.
I think, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
You fight a character called Vati, and he's the one that's sealed by the Four Sword.
Okay. Do you? It's been so long since I played it. You wrote the achievements, so you would know. The Oracle games. Do you fight Ganon in those?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I don't remember.
But it's only in the connected game.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
And
Hey,
because
Vanquish
of
is here. Hey, what's up, Vanquish? Hope you're doing well tonight. Good to see you, buddy.
it's because of that that I didn't make the achievements for the Gandor fight, because whenever I originally made the set, I wanted to make it set at the time we were making points up to 400, and I wanted to make it so every game I worked on, you could get the 400 points without connecting to another game, without requiring another game.
Gotcha.
So because of that, all of my achievements were for the original adventure, not for the connected adventure.
Okay. That makes sense. And Rocker Dude's here as well, saying hello. What's up, Rocker Dude? Good to see you tonight. Good to see you 2 nights in a row. So
yes, and so because they made that change, they've added a bunch of achievements based on the second adventure.
Okay.
So because that, you got to go through each game twice.
Okay. So because I remember you were going through those a while ago. I knew that you'd written the achievement. So you'd written I don't know
the original game
set. Then someone else came along and wrote more, and so that's why you had to go back and play it again to get the recompletion.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. So, the Oracle games are. I will absolutely be playing those at some point. I don't know if I'll be getting to those this year or not. But
have fun with those damages boss fights.
But I am looking forward to that because I have not played. I never played Oracle of Seasons, but I had Oracle of Ages. And I really,
to be honest, the only ones I actually had to play do on stream were the Twin Rova and the Gandorf or the Ganon fights, and those ones weren't terrible. I remember a couple of the bosses being problematic, but most of them were. Once you figured them out, it wasn't too bad.
Okay. Well, anyways, back to Four Swords on GameCube, which is what you were playing. Did you complete it? Are you still working on it?
I completed that a while ago. So.
Okay. So is that one a pretty quick completion then?
It pretty much is, yeah, because most of the achievements are just getting through each level, and there's an achievement for each level where you get every heart piece in it, because you can find a heart container. Each level has at least one or two heart containers in them. Some of them have 3, and that just increases how much health you have for the rest of the level.
Okay.
And whenever you played in multiplayer, it was a way for you to fight over. It was something for you to fight over. So, I think I can't remember what the other achievements were for it. It was pretty much just basically beat the game.
There's a good amount of achievements though, 89 achievements. So
yeah. Well, there's 8 worlds and 3 levels in each world, so that's 24 levels.
And there are no missables, so that's nice.
Yep. So, right, there's an achievement for each level without going down and using a force fairy, which is pretty much your lives.
Okay.
So pretty much just don't die in each level, and that's an achievement. So you have an achievement for beating each. I think you have an achievement for beating each level. No, wait, you don't have an achievement for beating each level, but you have an achievement for beating each level without dying, and an achievement for finding all the heart pieces or all the heart containers in each level. So that's already 48 of the achievements right there.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I made it a point that I'm going to try to play through some of the Zelda games that I haven't played, the older ones, because I've never played the original Zelda or Zelda 2. So I'm going to be doing those at some point. And so I'm going to throw this on there too, since I never played Four Swords Adventures. So I'm glad you talked about this and put it on my radar.
Yep, it's enjoyable. As you can see, I did it in about a week and some days, but that's also because I was playing other games and not able to go fully into it. So
okay,
like I could without doing all the other games, like the games I do on stream and Warframe.
Oh, it's already disappeared off my timeline. Let me pull it up here.
Which game are you talking about?
So, I'll go ahead and highlight here. Rocker Dude saying, since this is Achievement Chasers, shout out to myself, that being him, that he completed Eternal Strands today, and he was the 42nd person on True Achievements to complete it.
How long has that game been around?
It just came out on the 28th, so it's been...
Okay.
Let me see the calendar. It's been a week and 2 days. That was last Tuesday when it came out.
Gotcha.
It was the 42nd completion on True Achievements, and he completed it in 28 hours and 48 minutes. So I've not even seen a frame of this game, but I've heard good things about it. So I'm gonna look into it, and it launched day one on Game Pass. So if I like the look of it, first of all, how did you like it? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it. But I'm gonna look into it, and if I like the look of it, it does say it's an action adventure, which is always a good thing in my book. And if I like what I see, I will very likely play it when I get around to playing all of the games that I've been backlogging. So shout out to Rocker Dude for being the 42nd completion of Eternal Strands.
42 is a good number.
It is a good number. I didn't even think about that.
So, it's the meaning of life.
The life. What was?
By the way, that has a double meaning if you think about it, because 42 in ASCII, which is the way that computers store characters. 42 is
ASCII?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 42 is the asterisks, which in programming is the anything character.
I did not. I mean, I know ASCII, but I didn't know what characters were what. So
yeah,
that's
funny.
I
know that because of this joke. Character. But there's also another layer to it. Whenever you translate the numbers to Japanese, it's shi for 4 and ni for 2. But if you put both of those sounds together, shini, that means death.
There's another thing that I did not know. So, but yeah, it's been a long time since I mean,
let's just say in a lot of anime and stuff, they use Shinigami, which means death god.
I did know Shinigami is death god because I've watched Death Note, but I didn't know Shini is the death part of.
Yeah, it's because Kami or Gami is the god.
Is god. Ah, okay.
So
I learned something new. I just learned 3 new things.
In Dragon Ball, the Guardian of Earth calls himself God.
Okay. But yeah, it's been obviously it was a book first, but I've never read the book. But I have seen the movie. That's just been a really long time. But it was like the meaning of life, something, and it was more than just the whatever they called it now, and it was more than just the meaning of everything. But yeah, so shout out to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yep.
So all right. For 4 Swords, I was going to ask you something about it.
Now you forgot.
I got off topic, so I don't remember. But good game. You liked it? What would you rate it on out of 10?
It's.
Thank you. Nightmare said it. It was the meaning of the life, the universe, and everything. Yes, that is what I was thinking of. Thank you, Nightmare.
Gotcha. I'd say it's around a 7. Like, definitely one of the lesser Zelda games, but it's still enjoyable. But it's definitely designed for multiplayer in mind.
Okay. Another one of the Zelda games that I've never played. Well, I mean, I played through, I think, up to the first dungeon, but I had never finished it. That I'm going to be playing through at some point this year. Maybe we'll see. But is Minish Cap.
I do need to play through Minish Cap as well. That's one of the few I haven't played through either.
So, but yeah, shoot, I'm going to ask you something about 4 Swords Adventure, and now I don't. Was there? This wasn't what I was going to ask, but just something else that I thought of. Was there any sort of connection between the Game Boy Advance version and the GameCube version with the Game Boy Advance GameCube cable?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And do you know what that was?
It's how you played 4-player.
Oh, so you actually had to connect 4 people to a GameCube in order to play 4-player? You couldn't just do it connect through 4-player Game Boy Advance?
No, it's because every main screen you're on, if you go into a cave, you go into the Game Boy Advance screen.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
But since if you play it on solo, you can use the GameCube controller, and it just pulls up like a mini, like a Game Boy like screen on screen whenever
screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't have to use the Game Boy Advance link thing.
Okay.
You can if you want, but it's just better to do it on the single screen.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
But there is a way to actually do the Game Boy Advance link cable on Dolphin. If you want to do it that way.
I would assume that there would be a way, but I would assume it's pretty complicated.
It's not too complicated. You just need to get a GBA BIOS and then place it where Dolphin's looking for it, and then it'll be in the controller options. Instead of standard controller, you just say GBA integrated. And it'll create a new window for the Game Boy Advance.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Dolphin has a bunch of features built into it that have blown me away as I discover them.
You need that for this game achievements because you need the Tingle Tuner, which uses the same connection.
Oh,
so
in order, so there's an achievement in Wind Waker that requires you to go through all that to plug in your Game Boy Advance.
I'd say about 5 or 6 achievements were required the Tingle Tuner.
Oh, well, that's good.
It's not a terrible pain. It's pretty easy to set up.
When I get to that point, I'll ask you about it.
Yeah, I won't give you the BIOS, but I'll tell you where the game where Dolphin's expecting it and all the settings you need to place.
Okay.
You'll just need a second controller hooked up to your computer. It'll be better. It'll be easier that way, or you could just use your keyboard.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So Nightmare saying H2G2, which I'm assuming
Hitchhiker's Guide. I think he's supposed to be saying Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I'm assuming that's some sort of abbreviation for Hitchhiker's Guide. Oh, Hitchhiker's, wouldn't it be HG2G2? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Anyways, maybe it was just typo, but I'm assuming that's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It was one of my favorite book series growing up. I've heard they're great. But yeah, basically the only sci-fi stuff I've read is Star Wars, Mass Effect, and Halo, and Gears. I read a couple Gears books.
I haven't read any Gears. I've only read Halo.
But yeah, I've heard those are good. So, all right. Let's see here. Anything else you want to talk about on Four Swords Adventures?
No, just my only problem is that sometimes it felt like the game was lasting a little too long, just because I was playing it solo. So, but you also have to remember it was designed for multiplayer in mind.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. Which one am I going to talk about next? Let's go on a little bit more positive note than Dark Souls. So another game that I played in January because I was panic playing it before it left Game Pass, is called Maquette. At least I think that's how it's pronounced. It's Maquette, which I'm assuming is French. I don't know. But it is right up my alley. Because
if it's French, then it's already got point against it.
That's not why it's right up my alley. It's right up my alley because it's a first-person puzzle game. A little bit of physics, not much of a physics puzzler, but I love first-person puzzle games. And this one, the gimmick was all about perspective. So, I guess it's kind of weird to explain, but in the middle of each level is basically a small version of the level that you're in. So whatever you do in the small version happens in the regular version. So you can manipulate items by moving it, if you grab like a key and put it into the small version because it's a regular size key, then when you turn around to where you dropped it, the key is gigantic. Or you can do it in the reverse where you take it out and put it out there and you go back into the small version and grab it. Now the key is really, really tiny. And so, and basically it's essentially infinite because you can go outside your area that's regular size and then everything is huge. And so you use that to manipulate puzzles in order to solve them. So, those type of puzzle games, I really love. I ended up gifting this game on Steam to James on Steam Roulette because we have this ongoing argument about Braid, and I think it's one of the best platformer puzzle games ever. It's fantastic. It's great use of time travel. It's a very bright and colorful and pretty. Has a great plot twist at the end. I cannot say one bad thing about Braid. It is a fantastic game. And a lot of people forget it exists because shortly after Braid came out, Limbo came out, and everyone was praising Limbo, and Limbo is not even half as good as Braid. And everyone praised Limbo, and no one praised Braid, and Braid is better than Limbo in every single way. So I have a little bit of a gripe against Limbo, but I have completed all 3 stacks of Limbo. And I have not yet completed Braid because there's an achievement for beating it in under 45 minutes. I've made a few attempts at it, but I think my best one was 49 minutes. I got really close, but I still need to go back and get that last speedrun achievement. But regardless, Braid is a fantastic game, and for some reason James thinks it's this pretentious puzzle game, and it was one of the earliest Xbox Live Arcade games. But because of that, I gifted Maquette. It was on a super steep sale to James on Steam Roulette, and I said, "Now this is a pretentious puzzle game because it's got like this really the story in the game was kind of lame, and it was basically." You don't really see anything. It's all through narration, but you're basically puzzling through this couple's like breakup, and it was like I don't care. But the puzzling itself was decent. I was reading it's on Steam. I was reading the reviews, and they're kind of mixed. And I get it. Like they had a lot of great ideas that they could have fleshed out more, but all these like concepts, they used them once and then they didn't show up again. And it's not a terribly long game. I think there's only like 6 levels. The completion time is only like the 100% completion time is only like 4 to 5 hours. So it wasn't terribly long. But I did like the puzzling and moving stuff around. I did have to look up a couple of the solutions because I'm like, I have no idea what to do here. But the puzzle aspect of the game, I really liked. The story aspect, they could have scrapped it entirely, and I think it would have been a better game for it. But they definitely could have fleshed out some of the puzzle mechanics and done more with them and made it a longer game. But it didn't overstay its welcome, and I enjoyed the game overall. So, and Scranton Dogs is here saying, I liked Maquette a lot myself. I'm sure he probably panic played it before it left Game Pass as well. And it says, I suck at Limbo. Yeah, there was an achievement for beating Limbo. Beating the game in under 5 deaths, and it took me a couple tries to get that one, but once I got it, I'm like, all right, I can do it. And so because I had played the original Xbox Arcade version of Limbo way back in the day, and I didn't get that achievement for beating it in under 5 deaths, but then when the Windows and the Xbox One version were leaving Game Pass, I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna finish it on the Xbox Live Arcade version, and then I'm gonna go through and speed run essentially the Windows and the Xbox One version. So while it was fresh in my mind, I did all 3 of those back to back. But yeah, it took a couple tries, and there's one jump. Literally, it's like the last jump at the very end of the game that's really tricky, and you could get to that part with 1 death. And not too terrible if you're paying attention. It's most of the rest of the game is not that bad, but that very last jump is very tricky, and you could easily get yourself killed 5 times right there. And it's like, God dang it, I got to do the whole game over again, which happened to me on the first time I did it. But while it was fresh in my mind, I did the other 2. So I think there are only 3 versions of Limbo in the Xbox ecosystem.
I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure there's a PlayStation version that
there's probably a PlayStation version. There's probably a Steam version, but on the Xbox ecosystem, I know that there's a 360 arcade version. There's the Xbox One version and the Windows version. I have completed all 3 of those. It's a decent game, but Braid is better in every way. So, but yeah, Maquette, it was not terribly long. I like the puzzling. Had some cool mechanics. They could have fleshed it out more, done more with it. But I could have done without the story because it was really annoying hearing her whine about her, ex-boyfriend or whatever. So
it'd been a perfect James game.
Yeah. So I gifted it to him. I'm like, now this is a pretentious one. I want to see you play this and
I mean, he did play Class of 09.
So, I think if I gift him one more game, then they could do an entire. Because I think I've gifted him 4 games now.
I've only gifted 2 games so far.
If I gift them one more, they could probably do a gifted games gallery of just the games that I've gifted. Since they haven't done, none of the games I've gifted have been in gifted games gallery yet. But just the last one they did, I think they did all of Spartacus's games because he's gifted a ton of games.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe if I gift one more, they can do a gifted games gallery of just my games.
Well, one of my games got its own dedicated stream, so 7 Days to Die.
Oh, okay.
That's because it was one of those games that's really fun to play together.
Okay.
So we played it together.
That's a zombie game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's pretty much a more realistic version of Minecraft.
Okay.
In earlier versions, you can get dysentery for drinking bad water.
You died of dysentery. So, all All right, but yeah, that's about on Maquette. So what do you got next?
I'll go ahead and go with the next game I'm playing on stream, and I should be finishing it this weekend, and that is Star Fox Adventures.
Okay.
The reason why I didn't stream it today is because the 9 o'clock start time for me, and also I know I'm really close to finishing this game. And I didn't want to be late for this stream just because I was like, I don't want to
You
do
don't want
one
to cut
stream.
it off when you're this close to beating it.
Exactly. So
I
pretty
always
much
wanted to play that game back in the day because I did like Star Fox, even though it's nothing like a Star Fox game.
it's more Legends of Zelda Star Fox.
Exactly. I do have it on my backlog. I will be playing it for retro achievements at some point. I don't know when. But I did watch Kay when she played like the first. Well, I watched like the first hour. I think she played more than that, but I think I watched probably about the first hour of the game.
Of course, some of the biggest issues I have is every time you pick up a new item, it does the long animation of you having to pick it up, kind of like a Zelda, but it's way longer.
Oh,
it feels way longer. And even if you already picked up the item, sometimes he does it again, but doesn't give you the text at least whenever he does it. But the worst thing is that when you open up this game's chests, it has the chest opening animation, and then it does the animation of him getting a new item. So it's like, why not just have an animation for both at the same time?
Instead of stringing two separate animations back to back, just make it one animation.
Gotcha. So like, it's small things like that that make this game not nearly as good as any Legend of Zelda game.
Okay, because this was originally Dinosaur Planet, and then Shigeru Miyamoto came in like essentially last minute. It's like, make a Star Fox game. Like, well, wait, what?
To be honest, if you really look at the original designs for the characters, the guy character you played as was pretty much Fox McCloud.
Okay.
It kind of made sense in that regard. But they kind of repurposed it in a way that you mainly played as Fox. You only play as Fox McCloud throughout the game. I think in the original Dinosaur Planet, you switch back and forth between Fox and Crystal. Okay. Unlike in the release game, you only play as Crystal in the early tutorial.
Okay, because I was like, when I watched Kay play, she was playing as Crystal, but you only play for the beginning, and then the rest of the game you play as Fox.
Yep, because Crystal's stuck in a crystal for the rest of the game.
Ah, okay.
Literally.
So, yeah, I pulled it up here. You got 44 out of 53 so far. So, what's it looking like? Is it a pretty easy completion, or is it?
So far, it's been pretty easy. I mean, there's been a couple of achievements that are missable that I had to retry a couple of times. Like at the very end of the last stream, there was a boss that I ended up turning on the turbo function to do it, because I would have worn my thumb out from doing that for 45 minutes. And I just did it in a way that it wouldn't be like, it still would look like I was doing it like legitimately. Like I didn't put the turbo function on to a point where it was stupidly fast.
Okay.
So it was like, you could still tell it was like automated, but it wasn't like so fast. If I had wanted to, I would have done it. I could have done it faster. But it's just more like consistency.
So,
and that boss fight is kind of BS. Especially with the way that they set those achievements, because there's a couple, because the achievement is beating the boss without getting hit 4 times pretty much. Okay. So you can get hit 3 times and still get the achievement. Well, the way that boss works is that you're supposed to shoot his projectiles before they hit you. There's a couple of his projectiles you cannot hit.
Oh.
So you can see where the problem lies.
Yeah. And can you dodge those, or is it like you don't?
Because it's non-rail shooter.
Ah, okay.
So
you basically have to do enough damage before he shoots those undodgeable, unblockable
shots. Luckily with the way I was doing it, I think because of the turbo, I was able to beat it before he got to a second one, because I only know of one at the very beginning of the fight. Okay. The rest of them you can actually hit or just let hit the wall. Okay. But some of them are just really annoying to do because of the way the camera works.
Gotcha.
Because in some of the places that you're trying to hit his projectiles, the camera's trying to move away to move to him instead of staying on the projectile.
Oh goodness!
So you can see where the problem is, and it's one of those games where you have to use the stick moves where the cursor is, and whenever you don't press the stick, it centers back in place. So it's one of those type of on-rail shooters.
One of those boss fights where you're fighting more with the camera and the controls than the boss itself. Yep. The worst.
Exactly.
So,
that's why I turned on the turbo.
That makes sense. So, with the achievements that you got left, do any of them stand out as you think are going to be pretty difficult, or is it basically just
I
beat the
think
game and you got the rest of them?
my biggest problem with could be one of the achievements for finding all the collectibles, because it doesn't show as missable, but because of the way that the um the way that the chapter select works, it could delete it. It supposedly deletes your save file and reverts you back to that chapter. And because the achievement I'm looking at is the collect all fuel cells, because I'm trying to find the last two, and I'm hoping they're in a spot where I can actually get to them where I'm at.
Oh,
Now, luckily, all of the no fuel cells are on any of the island areas, which are kind of like the temples from Zelda.
okay.
So I don't have to go back to any of those. It's just the area that you just search around on your own.
Gotcha.
But like placing the final spell stone, completing the test of knowledge, and then beating the Krazoa god, those are like the last three of the progressions. Then there's one for beating the Krazoa god without taking more than 5 hits and not firing
Yeah,
only firing 3 smart bombs. That's the achievement for that boss.
I was just looking at that one because that one's
And technically, it's
beating
not
him is
missable.
only 10 points, but beating him and not taking 5 hits and 3 smart bombs is 25 points.
And you do that fight in the R-Wing.
Okay. But yeah,
'Cause
the fact that one's
there
worth
are
25
R-Wing
points,
sections.
that seems like that one might be a bit of a pain.
Yeah. I know where the staff upgrade and the last 2 cheat tokens are, because they're they're on the way to placing the final spellstone, pretty much.
Okay.
And getting that last Krazoa spirit. So also that during the return visit, that's the one of the last missables there because of that.
Okay.
But that's just me doing a specific challenge in a room. Just got to make sure you save before you go into that room, because the save system in this game is actually pretty. It kind of feels like old FPS games like Doom, where you save, you pretty much come right back to whenever you quit and come back in.
It's not like a checkpoint. You start right where you left off.
Yeah. For better and for worse. So if you save during the final boss fight, you're going to be stuck at the final boss fight.
Gotcha. Okay.
So technically, there are a lot of missables in this game that just aren't marked that way, because for some reason they think the chapter select is actually a good thing. The person who coded the achievements.
Oh. So yeah, it's not missable. You just go back to the chapter select, but then it's not
It
like
reverts your save back to that.
Yeah, so it's not like you keep all the stuff you had and now you just go get the one you're missing. It's like you have to then play through the rest of the game again from that point. Ugh. That's not great.
If it ends up being that I have to replay the game for the fuel cells, I probably just do it off stream. Because for something like that, I'm not gonna play through it again on stream.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So yeah, I will be playing that at some point.
Also, the combat's kind of boring because you just keep pressing the A button as fast as you just tap A button over and over again.
A button.
Everyone jokes that that's what the original Ocarina of Time Zelda's combat was, but there's way more nuance to Zelda's combat than there is in Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah, it's like no, it's Ocarina of Time is not spamming the same button over and over again.
Nope.
But one thing I was going to mention earlier, but you know, perfect segue. Mentioning Zelda is because I currently have 5 requests on True Achievements. I'm very close to a 6th request. I need 175 more points. But 2 of the ones that I have a request on are in development, and one of them is the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. So, and that's a big one. So that's going to have I don't know how many, but it's going to have a lot of achievements because it's basically
going to have at least 4. It's going to have 4 games and a demo's worth of
exactly.
content. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it has like 500 achievements. But there are
all of my requests are for Warriors games, which I will be getting to next on the next one I'm talking about.
Okay, because I saw you've been playing a Warriors game again.
Warriors games, the Romance 3 Kingdoms games from the PS2 era, which are just the strategy game that Koei's been making since the NES. I want achievements for those games, but only one game in that entire series has gotten achievements so far.
So,
and it's been around for a while, and there's a Tingle game I want achievements for that I can never get physically because it's only Japan only.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have to worry about trying to get that. So hopefully when they do it, they use the English patch.
Gotcha. So, but yeah,
It's the Tingle game from one of the Tingle games. And what's funny is this is so a James game. From what I've heard about it.
Yeah, I don't know anything. Do you know what it's called, or does it even have an English name?
Let me go back. It's Ripened Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love.
I've never heard of that one. That's funny.
There was actually like 3 Tingle games, but one of them's more like a balloon attack, balloon fighter clone. Then there's 2 of them on the DS that were only released in Japan. I think they were only released in Japan.
Okay. But yeah, what I was going to mention is about the collector's edition is there are currently 7 people working on the achievement set for that because there's 4 games and a demo's worth of achievements in that. So I'm planning on playing all those games, their original versions, and then again for the collector's edition whenever that gets finished.
Oh, and I was looking at my friends real quick, and I saw that someone on my list had more achievements than I did this week.
Oh,
and I'm gonna shout out DJ because he apparently mastered ActRaiser for Super Nintendo.
He did ActRaiser over like the last 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, what? I was looking at my retro achievements, and I was like, why does DJ have so many points over the last couple days? And I went and looked. I'm like, oh, he did ActRaiser, and that must be a relatively quick game.
He did it in 2 days.
I've heard of the game, but that's it. I don't know anything about the game, how it plays.
He might have already played it too, so he knows what he's doing.
That would probably be my guess because that is an older game. But yeah, shout out to DJ. You said he completed it now because last I checked,
it's mastered.
A couple achievements left. So shout out to DJ for mastering ActRaiser in like 2 days. I know he was doing it. I'm almost positive he was doing that on stream too.
He was.
So
shout out to him.
Yeah. So all right. Anything else about
Star Fox Adventures? Not really.
Fox Adventures. All right.
Just that it awakened some people, just like Space Jam did.
So, like I said, I've never played Star Fox Adventures. My only connection to Crystal is that she's in Star Fox Assault. I was aware of the character of Crystal, and next Tuesday's episode of Top 5 will be, right before Valentine's Day, and we are ranking our top 5 gaming waifus. So, someone mentioned last night when I was on Carl's channel, mentioned next week's top 5, and I was like, I think I had made my list, but I just hadn't organized
I still need to think about it. I think I got a couple of the characters on the list, but I need to think about others.
So,
because I've only really thought about Final Fantasy waifus and just Final Fantasy and just organizing them, but I like to not have all my list be all of one franchise.
Okay,
so
I might have written it down to one place, but not the other. You want it on that panel for next week?
Yes.
Okay. I wrote it. I'm pretty sure I wrote it down in my Discord, but I didn't write it in my notes. So I added it on there. So I got you now in both places. So perfect. Anyways, where I was going with that was after the stream last night, I went and pulled up my notes to see, and I had 4 out of 5, not organized, but I had 4. So I went and made a list of others so I could narrow it down. And I did put Crystal on the list to narrow it down from. So she's not going to be in my top 5, but she may be an honorable mention. Because if there was if anything was, I wouldn't say make me a furry, but if there was something furry that would kind of lead me in that direction, it would be Crystal Fox. So, anyways, so on to my next one. Again, let's see here. I started. So next game that I'm going to be talking about is one I've owned for probably over a decade. And I got the first achievement in 2019 when I dived a bunch of games. that I'm still working on recovering. And since then, I had gotten 2 additional achievements. They were both on the same day in December of 2021. So I'm almost positive that those 2 achievements were for 12 Days of Christmas, since it was in December. But other than that, until December of this year, I had 3 achievements. And because I'm working on trying to get my completion percentage back up, I'm like, what are some games where I have very few achievements? And there's a lot of achievements in the game. So by completing it, it will pretty significantly increase my completion percentage. And this game has a total of 80 achievements. So whereas, like, completing a game that has 10 achievements is not going to do as much for my completion percentage as completing a game that has 80 achievements in it will. So, and it's the first of 3 games, and I'm going to be doing the second and third ones. But I started it in December. It's been a slow process because I keep getting pulled away by having to panic play games that are leaving Game Pass. But that is the original Dishonored.
That was your decision.
Yes, that was my decision. So I'm not blaming it on anyone. But it's taking me a lot longer to get through it than I anticipated because of having to play other games that I want to play before they leave Game Pass. But that is Dishonored. This is the 360 version. Unfortunately, it is not backwards compatible, so I do have to play it on my 360. I bought this and started this. Well, I bought it before the Xbox One version existed. But I like I said, I got my first achievement in 2019, so I actually didn't start it until after the Xbox One version existed. I just bought it before, but I was like, I already bought it. I'm gonna play this version. I wish I could have just deleted it off my gamer card and played the Xbox One version instead for better frame rate, better visuals, and I'm assuming it probably has quick resume because it's an Xbox One game and it's on Game Pass. But no, I'll probably play the Xbox One version eventually as well, called the Definitive Edition, because I do like this game. But I'm playing the 360 version, and let's see here. I got probably about halfway through the game in December, and then in January, I completed my first playthrough, and I then went through and played through it my second playthrough, because there's basically, for more or less, there's a good way to play it and a bad way to play it, like a morality system sort of thing, although it's called low chaos and high chaos, and that's for basically whether you kill your enemies or not. And I have since completed the base game. I have all the achievements in the base game. I'm now working on the DLC. But this game would be a lot better if it wasn't for the achievements, because the achievements kind of ruined the game. Because there's an achievement for beating it in low chaos, and there's an achievement for beating it in high chaos, which isn't too bad, because in low chaos, it's not you can't kill anyone. It's just you have to not kill most people. But in order to get all the achievements, there is an achievement for beating the game without killing anyone, which is a bit annoying because it's a lot faster to kill someone than it is to knock them out. Because, you can use darts to knock people out. It's much quicker, but there's not a lot of them in the game. So you either need to, scavenge them or spend the money that you collect to buy them from the store in between levels. So most of what you're going to be doing, it's a stealth game with power, so I like the gameplay, but most of your playthrough when you're not killing people is sneaking up behind them and not suffocating them, but you do like a non-lethal takedown to knock them out. And that animation, there's a couple different animations, so sometimes it'll be quicker and sometimes it'll be longer. And it's like, come on, hurry up and knock this guy out before the guy right in front of him turns around and sees me. Because there's another achievement where you have to beat the game without getting noticed by anyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst part. Because like a lot of stealth games, there's like an indicator over their head on like how aware they are of you. So yeah, so there's like, and it's lightning bolts over their head, and there's 3 lightning bolts, and if it gets to the 4th one, it flashes red, and that means that they're fully aware of your presence. So if that happens, you void the achievement. Fortunately, it's just like you were talking about old school games. You can save and reload your save at any point. It's not checkpoints. But if you don't have save and you die or something, you have to go back to like the beginning of the level if you die, which doesn't really happen because there's like nothing that will instant kill you in the game. So it's very rarely that you'll die. You're basically having to pause and load your save a lot. And this is the 360 version, so it takes a lot longer than it would be on a Series X. So that's another thing that I would have preferred to play on a newer piece of hardware. But going through it and not being noticed is annoying. Because sometimes it's like, you know what, fine, you can detect me and we'll get into a fight, or I can, but you can't do that. So if you get detected, you got to reload your save. So your low chaos stealth playthrough is going to take a lot longer, because you're constantly having to reload your save. My high chaos playthrough, when I'm just killing everyone, was like less than a quarter of the amount of time as my low chaos one, because it doesn't matter if I get detected and I can kill people. But another achievement that ruins the game is there's an achievement for beating the entire game without purchasing any of the ability upgrades. You can upgrade your equipment to make your, like, because you throughout certain levels you can find blueprints that allow you to like move faster while you're sneaking, or make your boots quieter, or hold more ammo, because you not only do you have a crossbow, but you also have a gun. So if you want, crossbow is going to be quiet, and you can use regular arrows, bolts that'll kill people, or you can use knockout bolts that knock them unconscious, depending on how you want to play. So you got a lot of options for how you want to play, and there's a lot of different equipment that goes to each play style, and you can upgrade that stuff. But the abilities, which the only ability you have to get so it doesn't count against you because it's part of the story, is the blink ability, which is basically your teleport. And there's like 8 or 9 abilities in the game, and each one can be upgraded. So the only one like I said, you get the blink automatically. All the other ones you have to purchase through bone charms, which are items that you collect throughout the level, and each one requires a different amount. Usually the level 1 requires like 2 or maybe 3 bone charms, but then to upgrade it to the level 2, it requires like 6 or 8 bone charms. But all of them can be upgraded to a level 2. Some of the abilities are better for your stealth playthrough. Some of them are better for your high chaos, where you're killing people. But there's an achievement for beating the entire game without buying or upgrading any of them besides the initial blink, which ruins the game, essentially, because it takes all the fun out of it. So the walkthrough suggests going for obviously, when you're going to do your low chaos, your no death, like no killing anyone, and not being detected all in one playthrough, because there's no reason not to do them all in the same playthrough. The walkthrough also suggested doing the playthrough without buying any of the upgrades. I'm like, no, screw that, because one of the upgrades that makes it so much easier, especially on your stealth playthrough, is it's called dark vision. It basically allows you to see through walls. So you can see, where enemies are, and you can also see, I think when you upgrade it to level 2, you can also see their cones of vision, so you can tell whether they're going to be able to see you or not. And that makes your stealth playthrough so much easier. So the walkthrough says to do all those in the same playthrough. If you're going to play it, I suggest doing don't upgrade any, like don't purchase any of the upgrades. Do that on your high chaos playthrough, because you don't need to sneak around and not be detected, so it's a lot easier. One of the nice things, though, is that there are, I think there's 4 difficulties. There are no difficulty-specific achievements, so you can do it all on easy difficulty. So I recommend doing it all on easy difficulty, and buying your upgrades on your low chaos playthrough, because it's going to make it way less of a headache. And then when you do your high chaos playthrough, then don't buy any upgrades. It's a lot easier. But it still ruins the fun of the game, because there's some abilities that I wanted to buy and upgrade on my high chaos playthrough, but now I have to go without them because this achievement says, don't buy them. So I'd say it's much easier to do your don't buy upgrades achievement on your high chaos playthrough. Obviously do what you want, but it's a lot easier on the high chaos to do that one than it is on the low chaos, because being able to see through walls when you're sneaking around and trying not to get detected makes it so much easier, as does Blink Level 2. Blink Level 2 gives you a lot farther distance on your teleport. So, but yeah, the game is great. I love the gameplay. I love all the options you have. It's just the achievements kind of ruin the game.
It's because they make it so that stealth is no longer optional.
Well, the low chaos, you're required to play through stealth, which I don't mind because I like stealth games. The high
Let's
chaos,
just say I'm one of those people who thinks that if stealth is optional, that means I'm bringing an RPG.
yeah. If you wanted to do your high chaos and just play it as like, it's kind of like BioShock, where the controls playing it as a shooter, you can, but it's not really made for that. But you could. But the high chaos, you're probably still going to be playing it very stealthy, but it doesn't matter if you get detected, because you can get into a sword fight with enemies and you can take on a bunch of enemies at one time, and you can use your gun or your bow, your crossbows that are, actual killer crossbow bolts. So if you get detected, you can fight a bunch of enemies and you're probably still going to survive if you're playing on easy. So, but I still did sneaking around most of the time and still did stealth takedowns, but this time I could do the kill takedowns, so it's a lot quicker than doing a knockout. But anyway, so I got the full completion of the base game. I moved on to the DLC. There are 3 DLCs for the game. 2 of them are story DLCs. And they came out. The first DLC is called Trials of Dunwall, because Dunwall is the name of the city that the game takes place in. And I have not actually even started it. I just skipped it and went straight to the story DLC. The second DLC is called, Dunwall City Trials is the first one, and that's basically this trial mode where you're having to take down. I like I said, I haven't even started it, but I think the closest thing to compare it to would probably be the Predator challenges in the Arkham games. You have a certain time limit, and you have to knock out or kill these all the enemies and like get to the end in under a certain amount of time, and you get ranked. And I think there's an achievement for getting like the best rank in each of I think there's like 8 or 9 challenge maps. Since it's not story related, I skipped it. I'm going to come back to it after I finish the story ones. The second one is called Knife of Dunwall, and I have 100% completed that DLC as well. And that one picks up basically where the story of the game ends. And very similarly, there's an achievement for beating it in low chaos and high chaos, and there's an achievement for beating it without getting detected. So that was a bit of annoying, but I got all the achievements in the second DLC. The third DLC is called the Briggsmore Witches, which picks up right where the first DLC or the first story DLC ends. And there's 10 achievements. I've gotten the first 2 of them, so I've started it. That last achievement I got was on January 17th, so it's been a few weeks since I played it because I've been distracted by other stuff. But I do plan to go back and finish that DLC. I don't know if I'm even going to bother with the Trials DLC in order to get the full game completion, because that's easily the hardest part of the entire game, is those trials.
Do it.
Most of the other achievements in the game are not higher than a 3 ratio, and most of the achievements in that trial DLC are a 4 or higher. So the highest ratio achievement in the entire game is for completing all of the normal and expert challenges with a 3-star rating, and that's a 5.8. So I don't know if I'm even going to bother with it for now. I might just finish the second story DLC and then move on to another game. We'll see. But that's what I don't know if I'm even going to get back to the story DLC this month. What I'm probably going to do is, after I finish the game I'm currently playing, like I said, I'm going to move on to Lords of Shadow 2, and then I'll probably finish the second story DLC for Dishonored. And then we'll see if I do the trial DLC or if I move on to Dishonored 2 at that point. We shall see. But yeah, and the second story DLC has basically the same set of achievements as the first DLC. Beat the DLC in low chaos and high chaos, and beat it without killing or alerting anyone. However, the nice thing about the DLCs is that there's no achievement for doing it without upgrading any of your abilities. So you can use all your abilities, which is fantastic. So,
yay!
But yeah, I will be playing Dark Souls, Dishonored 2, and the third game, although it's more of a spin-off, called Dishonored Death of the Outsider, which the main character you play as in the Death of the Outsider, I don't know where that falls in the timeline, whether it's after Dishonored 2 or whether it takes place between Dishonored 1 and 2, but the character that you play as in Death of the Outsider is the secondary character who kind of tags along in the first story DLC of the first game. So the one I meant, Knife of Dunwall. Sorry, I just remembered. the Knife of Dunwall, which is the first story DLC, you play as the antagonist of the main base game. So it's actually a prequel because obviously you fight him at the end of the game, and
well, Nightmare here is saying it takes place during the same game, during the same time.
Yes, I was gonna get to I hadn't even looked at the chat yet, so I was gonna get back, get caught up on all that once I was done talking about Dishonored. But yes, sorry, I was, because at the very beginning of Dishonored, like the opening scene, this guy shows up and kills the Empress, and you get framed for the murder. And so you're basically trying to get your revenge, and at the end of the game, obviously you fight him and you kill him to beat the game. The first story DLC, you play as that guy. His name is Dowd, and you actually, it's a cutscene, but you actually play through that opening scene where he kills the Empress through his eyes. It's cutscene, so you're not actually doing anything. But then you play as him on. It's basically taking place concurrently with what's going on in the base game where you play as Corvo. So it's kind of running parallel. Because you're still alive at the end of the DLC, obviously, because Corvo has to kill him at the end of the base game. So, but anyways, you have someone tagging along that's kind of like your trainee, and that character is the main character you play as in the Death of the Outsider game. But yeah, so that's probably about all I got to say about Dishonored. I like it. I just wish I could be playing it on newer hardware, and the achievements kind of ruin the game. Oh, last thing I was going to say is there is mana for your abilities, which is when you like Blink and the Dark Vision and whatever ones that you upgrade. But the nice thing about it is you get plenty of the consumable that refills it, so you don't really ever have to worry about it. But if you don't want to have to use those consumables, it automatically regenerates. But if you use it again before it regenerates, then you lose that amount. So when you use like Blink or something, as long as you give it like the 5 or 10 seconds or whatever it takes to regenerate, then you'll have full mana again, and you don't have to use any of your consumables. So the only time you really need to use it is if you're trying to get around real quick to get to people really fast. You got to use a couple powers like in conjunction back to back. Then you might need to use a consumable. But if you just wait between each time, then you won't really need to consume the elixir because it regenerates on its own. So all right, so catching back up on chat, Nightmare has a lot to say about Dishonored, so let's see what he has to say.
I think he's a bit of a fan.
My favorite way to play Dishonored is to use an infinite mana cheat. That's what a lot of people are saying, is that if you had an infinite mana cheat, or if you're playing it on PC, you could probably mod it. I'm playing on 360, so I don't have that option. But yeah, an infinite mana would definitely make the game a lot better. To blink around and treat everything like an Arkham Predator map. Exactly. It's very much like that. Dishonored 2 also adds a lot of quality of life features that make non-lethal play easier. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. I've started it. I've gotten like the first achievement or two. But that was a couple years ago. So once it
was during a bean dive, wasn't it?
It was during my bean dive. And I think I got one more achievement for a 12 Days of Christmas or some community event right at the beginning of the game. So I have a couple of achievements, but when I'm done with this one, I move on to 2. I'll be starting it from the beginning. But good to know that there's some quality of life improvements that make non-lethal better. Also, the last level with the giant tower is so much cooler on high chaos with the island being a war zone, but it's not worth Samuel's disappointment in you. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't really get that. It's like I'm getting the revenge on people who ruined my life. Why does it matter if I'm killing people? Why are you looking down on me for that? I'm a freaking assassin. That's what I do. I kill people. What I didn't get Samuel's like disdain with me on my high chaos playthrough. I'm like, well, screw you, dude.
Wait, why screw me?
Nah, dang it, did it again. No, dude, as in Samuel, the guy in the game, because he's like the guy. He's like, he's the one who ferries you around to, because how the game plays is you have like your secret base that you go to between each level, and then he takes you out to your mission, and some of the missions are in the same areas, and they're, but you don't need to go to, like, there's branching paths and you don't need to go to them for, like, the first like 2 or 3 levels are in the same area, but you go to different areas of them in order to find your
Gotcha.
target and stuff. But he's the one who takes you to each of where you need to go, and he'll pick you up at the end of each level. So, yeah, on your high chaos, he I don't know what the term is. He
Berates?
not yeah, berate's a bit of bit too strong of a word. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but he gives you crap.
Scold?
He scolds you. That's a perfect term for it. He scolds you for the way that you've composed yourself and you've killed all these people. It's like, I'm an assassin and I'm getting revenge on these people who have ruined my life. I'm like, what is your deal? And so much so that on your high chaos playthrough, he drops you off and then he shoots a flare off to let everyone know that you're there. And then he takes off in his boat. It's like, well, screw you, jackass. So that kind of irked me. I didn't get why he was mad at me, but yeah. So, and it's saying Dunwall City Trials is basically a challenge map DLC, not story based. Exactly. And that's why I've skipped it. And I will get back to it. I just don't know if I'm going to go for the completion before I move on to Dishonored 2 or not. So, Knife of Dunwall, it's the first story DLC, is about Dowd and his story. Yep. Knife of Dunwall picks up during the main game, actually, not after it. Yes, thank you for that correction. It's before Corvo finally faces down. Yeah, exactly, because he's the boss of the game, and he dies. Obviously, it has to take place before the end of the base game. Otherwise, that wouldn't make any sense. Never bothered with Dunwall City Trials. I was only interested in the story stuff. Okay, so you haven't played the trials either. So, but yeah, that is easily the hardest part of the completion. So that's why I will be getting back to it. Never played Death of the Outsider, but it looked like crap. Takes place after 1 and 2. Okay, good to know. I wasn't sure where it takes place in the timeline. The main character is a major side character. Oh, okay. So the character I mentioned in the first DLC, the first story DLC of Dishonored 1, is also a major side character in Dishonored 2. Good to know. As well as a minor character from the Knife of Dunwall. Sorry, I'm a big Dishonored 1 and 2 fan. No worries. I like the game. It's just some of the achievements kind of ruin the experience. And lastly, Corvo doesn't have to kill them. That's true. Like like I said, there's an achievement for beating the game without killing anyone. That includes all of the major characters. There's a way to, and one of the cool things is not only is there an achievement for not killing anyone, so you could go and like knock him out. There is an achievement for that you can get like about 75% of the way through the game because each level you have a target that you need to take out. How you do that is up to you, whether you kill them or incapacitate them, or each of them has a special condition that you can dispose of them in a non-lethal manner. And there's an achievement for doing all of those. And that's interesting too, because like one of the levels, you have to go do a side quest for this gang, and they'll take care of your target for you, so you don't have to get your hands dirty. So there's one of the levels is you have to knock this guy out, take him to an interrogation room, lock him in, wake him up, and then you brand him with the symbol of like a traitor.
Mm.
And so you don't kill him, but then he has the brand, I think it was on the hand, of a traitor. And so that's how he becomes, essentially not incapacitated, but dealt with, and no one's going to take him serious anymore because he has the brand of a traitor. So there's interesting ways on most of the levels on how to take out your target, and there's an achievement for that as well. So Billy Lurk is the name of that side character who you play as in Death of the Outsider. So so that's I'll have more to talk about Dishonored next month, probably when I get through this third DLC, and we'll see what I do with Dunwall City Trials, and then eventually when I get on to Dishonored 2 and Death of the Outsider, which is the third
go
game.
For the completion.
So here's exactly. You basically excommunicate the Pope. So that's the one I was just talking about, where you
I already did that. I kind of already did that in Assassin's Creed 2.
That's right. You do fight the Pope in Assassin's Creed 2. So that's about all I have to say on Dishonored. I know I went on a bit of a ramble there, but I think I do have 2 more games to talk about. So gotcha. I will pass over to you for whatever you have to talk about next.
Well, the next game I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be talking about this one for a bit because it's another Warriors game. and it is Dynasty Warriors 5 for the PS2.
And how many achievements does that one have?
Oh, 300 something.
Oh, good lord.
341.
341.
I got 46.
You got 46 out of 341. That is a lot.
Yep. I've pretty much been playing the game since January 19th, so only about 2 weeks.
Okay.
But
and
I've
you
gone
did not
through.
write the achievement set.
I did not. So most of this game's achievements are basically tied around getting every character's best weapon. Even
That's pretty standard for Dynasty Warriors games,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, pretty much. And going through each of their story modes on both normal and chaos. But of course, if you go through on chaos, you get the normal difficulty as well. So
they do stack.
Yeah, they do stack. So that's the reason why I haven't really done the normal difficulty. Is because I whenever I play a Warriors game, I always play on the easy difficulty to level up characters to get them stronger.
Okay.
And then I'll get their best weapon, and then if I need to, I'll play on the higher difficulties for achievements that way, with the already built characters.
That makes sense.
So I'm pretty much just going through getting their their best weapons, and then once I've done that for every character, I'll go back through and do their story mode on the difficulty that you have to unlock.
Okay.
But the thing is that this is everything that's from the main game that I'm talking about, because they actually did this is another one like they did with 4, where they put the Extreme Legends expansion attached to the same list as the original game.
Okay, yeah, because it says Dynasty Warriors 5 / Dynasty Warriors 5 Extreme Legends. So that was basically an expansion. They just combined them into one achievement set.
Yeah, because with every Extreme Legends game or Extreme Legends expansion, it's on its own disc. But there's an option on the main menu where you can unlock the original game's content, but by putting the first game in the console to unlock it.
Okay.
So for 5 Extreme Legends, it mainly adds 2 new game modes and a bunch of stages for characters. But like it's like individual. It's like one stage for like 3 characters. So there's like certain achievements based on those, like beating them on Chaos, which is the highest difficulty. But unlike 4 and 3, the Chaos difficulty is actually in the base game. So I can get a lot of these Chaos achievements before even moving on to the Extreme Legends version.
Oh, okay.
It's just that you have to unlock that difficulty.
Gotcha.
And there's nothing really to do with that Chaos difficulty other than getting these achievements.
Okay. Yeah.
There's really nothing that they require you to do in the main game on Chaos.
Okay. Yeah.
And unlike the other games, there's no extra unlock weapon in the Extreme Legends version. They just keep their best weapon in the original game was the best weapon in the Extreme Legends.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of just glancing over your achievements so far, and yeah, most of them are all just obtain this character's best weapon.
Yeah.
So,
and of course you gotta remember every Dynasty Warriors game they always add characters. They rarely ever remove characters.
Yeah, exactly. So looking at the thumbnails for these achievements, or the achievement art, essentially, I see a lot of faces on here. How many characters are there? On just the estimate ballpark.
Actually, I can just go look it up. Give me one moment.
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of them.
There's at least 40.
So each of them have a weapon achievement and an achievement for beating the game on basically normal and hard.
Well, normal and chaos, which is higher than hard.
Okay. So
let's see now. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page.
So that if there's 40, that's 120 achievements right there, times 3.
So there's 3 factions, and there's 3 factions in the other. All 3 factions have at least 13 characters, so that's already 39. Then Wu, which I haven't started, has an extra character after, so that one has 14. So that's already 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 48 characters in this game.
48. So this one's probably going to take a while. You'll probably be talking about this for the next couple months, you think?
Yeah, well, I definitely will be, but hopefully it won't be as long as Dynasty Warriors 4. But like I said, it's mainly just me going through each character story mode once on easy difficulty to get them to a point where I can take them on the hard difficulty for their stage. Sometimes I'll have to beef them up a little bit more, because if it's on a later stage and it has a higher difficulty, I'll need them to be even more beefed up. Gotcha. So I'll just play like a couple of levels over and over again to increase their stats. Because in in these early in most Dynasty Warriors games, you don't level up a character by leveling them. You increase their stats by picking up items that are dropped by other officers
Okay.
on the map. So pretty much your mini bosses and your bosses that drop like, oh, this is a +2 attack, +4 defense, and in earlier games they did it so that the health and the special meter, which is called Muso in this game, you had to pick them up from jars. In this game, they made it so that the health are from one specific officer in each level,
Okay.
and the special one is still from a jar. That's the same place every level, or each time you play a level. So if you're playing as faction 1 on this level, and you play it, it'll be in this specific spot. It'll be in the exact same spot if you play it on as the other faction.
Okay.
So, and there aren't many, and most of the stages only have 2 factions. I think there's like one that has 3, and that's just because of the way that battle took place in history.
So, by playing through on normal and chaos with each character, getting all the weapons, that looks like that'll knock out a large majority of this game.
It'll take out about half of them right there.
Okay.
Because I still have to collect a lot of the I still have to collect a couple of the special items because I've been going through the factions in order. So because of that, I don't have some stages unlocked yet to get some of the regular rare items.
Okay.
You know, like the three of the harnesses, which are for horses and an elephant, and like specific weapons and or items. I think a couple of those items are only in the Extreme Legends version, so I won't be able to pick up some of the items
until later.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming you've kind of looked, at least glanced through the achievement set. Is there anything that you think stands out as like this is probably going to be tough, or is it all pretty standard?
I haven't really looked into the ones because there's actually an entire set of achievements down at the bottom that are for doing specific things on the chaos difficulty. But I'll probably get most of those done whenever I play through their story modes on chaos.
Okay.
Because like as Zhao Yun with the Wan Shao's forces dispel the tornadoes during a specific battle, that's his first fight in the story mode.
Okay.
So it's not like it's that crazy of an idea to just wait and see.
Okay.
The only one I can think of that would be kind of annoying is the complete a mission having less KOs than your bodyguard on harder chaos, because that's just you waiting for your bodyguard to kill
kills. Everything for you.
Yeah.
That sounds more annoying than difficult.
Yeah. And of course they have the two new game modes in the Extreme Legends, which I'll probably talk about way later, is the Destiny mode, which is like a create a character mode, and the Extreme mode, which is the roguelike mode that was in 4 as well, 4 Extreme Legends. So there's two entirely separate modes that I'll have to worry about later.
Now, is this the first time you played Dynasty Warriors 5?
I played Dynasty Warriors 5 and Extreme Legends when I was a kid, but it's been a long time.
Long time. Okay. So, how are you liking it compared to other Dynasty Warriors games?
I mean, I think it's on par with 4, definitely. And I think 4 and 5 are easily the best examples of the franchise on the PS2.
Okay.
And Samurai Warriors 2 is also really good, but it was also on the 360.
Gotcha.
Which sadly you can no longer get the 100% on because the DLC is no longer able to be purchased.
Oh. Because if you already bought the DLC, you can still get it, but you can't buy the DLC anymore.
What's funny is how they have their Extreme Legends. This is one of the few times they actually did the Extreme Legends as an actual DLC.
And it's not available physically or anything, so
nope.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
But what's funny is also if you bought the Extreme Legends DLC and installed it, it actually made some of the original games achievements harder. Because most of the achievements were just the original games achievements were just unlocking characters. Well, if you had the Extreme Legends expansion installed, it changed the requirements of a couple of the characters. Like one of them, you actually had to complete every character's story mode to actually unlock them. It
Oh,
just
so it
takes
would have been
longer.
better to buy it and just not download and install it until you're ready to actually play it.
Yeah, and what's sad is that it's what's funny is it's one of the easiest Warriors games to complete because they did not put much time and thought into the achievement set.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to whenever that game gets supported on retro achievements for PS2.
And which one was that again? The
Samurai Warriors 2.
Samurai Warriors 2. Okay. All right.
I'm also looking forward to Samurai Warriors 3 since that one was a Wii exclusive.
Oh, okay.
Which was weird.
Yeah,
But,
Dynasty Warriors being in a Wii exclusive.
well, Samurai Warriors was.
Samurai Warriors.
And Samurai Warriors 4, that entire line of games was a PlayStation exclusive. So it's because I think it's because Warriors games don't sell that well on Xbox.
That makes sense.
But they still sell decently. Like even 3, 4, and 5 were on the original Xbox. It's just that they never had the Extreme Legends expansions placed on them.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is a franchise I think would sell far better on Japanese hardware than American. Definitely seems.
I think it's been getting a lot more eyes on it nowadays because of all the licensed games that they've been doing.
Oh yeah.
Because you gotta remember, Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors are based on historical events.
Right.
So it's more of their interpretation of those historical events. So they feel more original than like. But then you have the Hyrule Warriors, the Fire Emblem Warriors. I think there's even One Piece and and Gundam. So
yeah, we talked about that when you came on Party Chat.
Yeah, there's been a ton of them already. But I could. What's sad is because of all these licensed ones, we haven't seen many mainline Dynasty Warriors like we usually do. I mean, yeah, we have Origins that came out.
I was just gonna say there was one that just came out.
But from what I can tell of Origins, it's not as mainline as you would think.
Okay.
It feels more like a reboot, from what I can see. Because
I'm assuming you're planning on playing it at some point.
I will eventually, yeah. But from what I've heard, you only play as one character, and it's an unnamed character. It's like your own character that you play as throughout the first half of the conflict.
Okay, yeah, that definitely sounds a bit different from the rest of them, from what I've been hearing from you talk about them.
Because you're supposed to. Every other game in the Warriors franchise is all about having tons of characters.
Yeah, tons of characters.
Feel unique.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. Anything else?
That's kind of why I've been hesitant on the Origins game, because like it sounds like it's gonna be more like the Battlefield Warriors game, but plays more like a Devil May Cry. And it's like I'd rather go play Devil May Cry than a Dynasty Warriors type.
Yeah, it's like I play Dynasty Warriors for Dynasty Warriors. If I want to play Devil May Cry, I go play Devil May Cry. That's the same reason, because I really liked Ghost Recon Wildlands, and when Breakpoint came out, they made it a looter shooter. I'm like, what the heck are you doing, Ubisoft? If I want to play a looter shooter, I go play either Destiny, or Ubisoft has their own looter shooter. I go play the Division. I don't want the Division in my Ghost Recon game. They, from what I hear, they supposedly either took it out or made it optional. So I have since bought it, and I will be playing it once I start all my new games. But yeah, I've heard that you can actually play Breakpoint as the same way that Wildlands played, where a bullet to the head is going to kill anybody no matter what, because you're not going to survive that. Whereas originally, when Breakpoint came out, you had loot scores, and you could it was like the Division. You could shoot someone in the head,
or Borderlands.
Or Borderlands, like you shoot someone in the head, they're not going to die if they have enough, if their level and their gear score is high enough. And
I think Borderlands and Destiny have a better idea for that, because they can be a bit more fantastical with the guns.
Yeah. So it's like, what are you doing? This does not belong in a Ghost Recon game. These are supposed to be like, realistic tactical shooters, not quite so much to the scope of like Rainbow Six games were before whatever that new one is. That's the live service game, Siege, Rainbow Six Siege. but the Rainbow Six games before that are like super tactical shooters, especially the really old ones.
I
But
played
it's
Rainbow Six
mostly
Vegas 2.
Vegas 1 and 2 were excellent. I loved those
I still
games.
need to get all the multiplayer achievements for Vegas 2.
I've completed Vegas 2 100%. The only achievements I don't have in Vegas 1 are for getting the 2 rank achievements in the multiplayer, because you can do it by double boxing. It just takes like 100 hours. I'm like, I'm not going to bother with it. So
Would it cut down if you did it with 4 boxes?
I'd have to look. It's been a long time since I've looked at the achievements. I don't really know what the details are of it. I'm not even sure if you can double box it. You may have to have more than 2. I don't remember. But I never played I did play Rainbow Six Vegas 2 online for a little bit, because there are online achievements, and they're not like they're not ones where you have to like, hey, you have to play this game forever or you're not going to get these achievements, like Gears of War multiplayer achievements. You get, and this was back when the game was pretty new and the servers were pretty lively, so I had no problems getting into matches, and you get the achievements just by playing the game. It wasn't too difficult to get most of it, and it was a lot of fun. I have not played the multiplayer on the first one at all. And I'm sure the servers are pretty much dead now. So you basically either have to get a boosting group together or double box it in order to get it. I'm like, I'm not going to bother with it. So I'll probably never complete the first one, because you have to get a ton of XP for those 2 rank achievements. But anyways, even the Rainbow Six games before Vegas 1 and 2 are even more tactical than the Vegas games. They're super tactical. But like Ghost Recon isn't quite to that level of tactical, but it's more tactical than like the Division, because you shoot people in the head, they're going to die. It's like, I don't want loot scores and stuff in it. I'd go play the Division or Destiny. So that's why when I first heard about that before Breakpoint even came out, I'm like, well, you screwed the Ghost Recon franchise, and now I'm not going to play it. I have since bought it on a super sale because I've heard they got rid of it. So I will be playing it at some point. And I'm hoping if it plays like Wildlands, then I'm sure I'll have fun with it. Anyways, where was I going with that? Playing. Yeah, if I wanted to play the Division, I play the Division. But I want to play, Ghost Recon. I'm playing a Ghost Recon.
Kind of where I'm going with the Dynasty Warriors Origin.
Exactly, Dynasty Warriors Origin. It's like, if I wanted to play Devil May Cry, I go play Devil May Cry, not Dynasty Warriors. I mean, I'm fine with Warriors Dynasty Warriors gameplay.
I'm fine with Dynasty Warriors Origins as long as it stays its own sub franchise.
Okay.
But if it becomes the main series, I might have to drop. I might be dropping it, depending on it. But it's like, I want Warriors games to be Warriors games.
Yeah.
And when I looked it up on the apparently on Wikipedia, it says that I think it said something about the creators saying that they made the change to reinvent the series because he thought fans started getting bored of it. No, fans were not getting bored of it.
There's like how many Dynasty Warriors games that all play the same and people love them? Why would you go and
What's funny is that
why fix it when it's not broken?
What's funny is that don't count the first one because that's a fighting game, like Soul Calibur on the PS1. In Japan, they actually start counting at the second game
as the first one.
Yeah, on the PS2. So from all the PS2 games, 7 and 8, they all play very similarly. They have the six square combo when you fully max out your character, and then triangles add charge attacks depending on which string you're on, which of the square string you're on. But for 6 and 9, which are considered the worst games in the Dynasty series, they changed that up. So that's why I'm like hesitant on the Origins game, because they're changing it up again. And it even looked like they were doing something similar to what 9 did. And 9 was the worst one. Although 9 was also an open world game.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. What platform was 9 on? Was that a PS3 360 game?
Xbone and PS4.
Oh, okay.
But it had like all of China able to be going around at all times. But what the stupidest thing about 9 is that they made an Empires game, which is when they bring the real-time strategy elements into the game, where it's kind of like Civilization, where you do like diplomacy type stuff in between in your turns, and then in between your diplomacy turns you can go do battles, and the battles will be like the Dynasty Warriors gameplay. And so that's how Empires played.
Dynasty Warriors Empires?
Yes, the Empire's expansions. Although they are always considered their own games.
Oh, okay.
Because they are completely separate from their main.
I didn't even know that existed. I just searched retro achievements for Dynasty Warriors, and I see Dynasty Warriors 5, which is the one you're playing. Then there's Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires.
Yes.
So interesting. Okay.
Those early games were very basic on their diplomacy. What they could have done.
No
what's
achievements yet.
What's sad about 9 is, could you imagine an open world game where you could tell your armies where to go? And
it
actually
sounds
being
like
able
more
to,
like an RTS than a hack and slash.
It's even more of an art. It's even more of an art, more than art. It's an RPG RTS.
Okay.
It would be at that point. Could you imagine if they had done that correctly?
If they did that correctly, that could actually be pretty
Like
cool.
even if the combo system was kind of lame, like it was in 9, if they had gotten that right, people would still would have played it and enjoyed it, because you play as a character, you could form relationships with other characters, and even cause other characters to betray their faction in the middle of battle, and while they're on the field of battle. Could you imagine that type of stuff in an action oriented game like that, with an action oriented open world game? That would have been crazy. But guess what? Guess how they did the battles? They're all squares, and you just have to capture certain points on the in that squared off map.
Oh, so you don't really even have to fight enemies. You just capture.
No, it's still you have to kill enemies to capture points. That's how they've always done it. But they did it in the old way of Empires games, when they could have brought 9's uniqueness into the Empires game, and that would have been like the perfect game of that.
Perfect blending
of it. And they botched it.
They botched it. Yeah, that sucks. So, yeah, I'm looking at the achievements, or I'm just looking at the list of Dynasty Warriors games on retro achievements, because you said that 6 is terrible. So it's like, hey, you can plan on playing 6 when you're done, but 6 and Dynasty Warriors 5 Empires do not have achievement sets yet.
Not quite yet.
Let's see here. I don't see anyone actively working on 6.
When it comes to Warriors games, the only one I think that has someone working on it is Samurai Warriors 2.
Yeah. 5 Empires and 6 do not have anyone working on an achievement set either. So if they are going to get one, it's probably going to be a while.
Yep. And I'm fine with that, because it always takes a while to go through them as well.
Yeah.
I'm still amazed that the GBA and the DS game haven't gotten achievements yet.
I was just looking at that. Dynasty Warriors Advanced does not have achievements either. I was kind of surprised by that.
So. But yeah, it's like I said, I'm just slowly trying to go through each of the Warriors games like this, because eventually I'll get to a point where I have no more Warriors games to go through.
You have the series completion on Dynasty Warriors. That'll be nuts.
It will be. Because I even have the Gundam 2 to go through again, and that one is a crazy one. And I looked at the achievement list; it's pretty much the same thing as it is on Xbox. But if you notice, it's triple the points than it was on Xbox.
Okay.
You know, on Xbox is only 1,000 points. Retro Achievements gave it 3,000, and gave you a lot more intermittent achievements on your way there.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same thing as the 360 set. Just that it gives you a lot more smaller stuff.
Okay. Gotcha.
But then there's also a subset where you have to do it with every character. Because in the original, let's just say in the original 360 release, you only had to do it as one character.
Oh, how many characters are in that one?
Let's see, 120 achievements are in that subset for max characters.
Okay.
And Amuro Ray alone has 3 achievements. So that's
probably
3 achievements and 120 achievements in the entire game.
So probably about 40 characters?
40 characters.
Jeez.
Oh, by the way, Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2 actually did something pretty cool. They made it so that the character, the pilot, and the Gundam are separate. So you could eventually just play as you could just play through every character with the same Gundam if you wanted to.
It's kind of like Titanfall.
Yeah, But if I ever do that, I would wait until the multi-sets work on the same ROM,
The same
pretty
ROM,
much.
right?
Because then, as I'm working towards that first character, I would eventually get it
Yeah.
for the subset,
Okay.
and then I could slowly work on other characters over time. But let's just say that just getting every license for every character is where you're gonna be spending most of your time.
Okay.
There's a reason why there's only one person who has the full completion of the subset.
The subset, yeah. So
Yes.
subsets can get nuts on retro.
Well, this one's more about the grind than it is
right.
about the
Doesn't sound like
difficulty.
it's too terribly difficult. It's just a huge grind.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Anything else on Dynasty Warriors 5?
Nope, because I'm going to be continuing working on that for the next couple months, probably.
All right. I just realized I might have talked about this one on last episode because I started and completed it in the first week of January. Did I talk about Escape Academy last month?
I don't know if you did.
So, it was another panic play because it was leaving Game Pass. Initially, it said the completion time was 1 to 2 hours, but then it jumped up to 7 to 10 hours. That's because they added a title update, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, title update's basically a free DLC, and that title update is 6 to 8 hours. So it's made the game significantly longer, but this kind of falls in the same category as Maquette, where it's a first-person puzzle game. But this one wasn't like a physics or like a mind-bending puzzle or like perspective or anything. It's basically an escape room game. So the base game is playing through essentially a series of more complicated escape rooms, which was pretty cool. I liked it. I've never actually done an escape room in real life. I've always wanted to because I think I'd do pretty good at it because I love puzzles and stuff. But it was basically Escape Room, the game. And the base game, like I said, is pretty quick. It says it's like a 1 to 2 hour completion. That's if you're following a guide. I kind of sort of followed a guide. But I probably beating the base game for me probably took maybe about like 5 hours or so. The thing about it, the title update is that I don't know why they did this, but the entire title update DLC, which is, let's see here, it's worth 500 gamer score. How many achievements? So it's 13 achievements is the title update. There's 40 achievements in total. So the base game has 27 achievements and the title update is 13. The entirety of the title update has to be played in multiplayer. I don't know why they did that, because you're just solving more escape rooms. So you can play it in 2-player, either over Xbox Live or couch co-op, because it does have a split screen, or because the when you're playing it in the title update, the multiplayer mode is basically a race to see who can complete it first. So the easiest thing to do is just have a second controller just sit there and do nothing. So you're only playing the game with half a screen. Why they made the entire thing in multiplayer? Why don't they just be able to play it in single player so I can have the full screen? Because you don't have to play with another person. You can have another controller there and just sit there and do nothing. So you're not actually really racing anybody. Why not just do that, but make it so you can play it solo so I have the whole screen to work with?
It sounds like with Halo Master Chief Collection, some of the weekly challenges is complete campaign with a co-op partner.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're just doing it for the challenge, you'll probably just plug in a second controller and just play it that way.
Exactly. I don't know why they did that. Freaking stupid. But anyway, it didn't. I didn't play the whole DLC with half a screen, so that was really dumb. But one of the cool things is that the puzzles change every time, so it's not doing the same thing over and over again. You do have to solve the puzzles each time, so at least it kept you engaged. And it's not. So there's basically 3. So just to give you a gist of because the base game, just playing through the story will I think will pretty much get you all the achievements. However, on the DLC, there's different game modes and there's different like game settings. And so there's an achievement for winning 10 matches of tic-tac-toe. It's not it's called tic-tac-toe. It's tic-tac-toe inspired, or it's no, that was actually one of the earliest ones. That was probably one of the easiest ones to do. But there's win 10 matches of scavenger hunt and win 10 matches of escape room or escape race. So there's different types of game types. So it's not all the same. And there's an achievement for also beating, like I said, there's 3 different like areas, and each one has different sets of puzzles in them. And you have to beat one game type in each of those areas in under 10 minutes. And so the puzzles change, but you're not always going to see, like, for one area, there's like three separate rooms, and you have to solve a certain number of puzzles in room 1 to move on to room 2. Then you have to solve a couple puzzles in room 2 to get to room 3. And so let's say in the entirety of that entire challenge, there's like 10 puzzles that you have to solve. And there's like, out of those 10, but in total, like the game has like, let's say like 15 different puzzles to choose from. So you may see one puzzle on one time playing through it, and you may see a different puzzle, but they're very similar themes. So like, you may not know the exact solution for this puzzle, but if you've done it a few times, you know how to solve it. It's just the solutions change each time. But like this type of puzzle,
it's kind of like how a Mario Party game, you don't know how to play it until you've seen it, and then after you keep seeing it over and over again, you know how to play it.
Exactly. Yeah. So once you've solved the puzzle, you'll know kind of how to solve it in the future, but the solutions change each time. So you get familiar with the puzzles, but each of those 3 areas have entirely different puzzles. So when you move on to the next area, like like one of them was an Egyptian themed area, one was like a shipping yard, and another one was like a garden. And so each one of those has entirely different puzzles than the other 2 areas. So basically what you want to do is whatever one you pick to do first, get familiar with that one, and then do as much as you can in that one, because when you move on to the next area, you're gonna have to learn all the puzzles, but you're gonna have to learn them because you have to beat each of those 3 areas in under 10 minutes. So you got to get pretty good at the puzzles. But then there's an achievement for playing 25 matches total, which you'll get because there's an achievement for 10 matches of each game type. So that's 30 matches right there. But the final achievement that you're probably going to get is there's play 50 matches in total. So after I got all the other achievements, I probably had to do like another 15 matches or so to grind out that last one. And so I just did the one that I was most familiar with, and that's the escape race. And I got pretty good at that one, that I could complete that one in like between like 3 and 4 minutes. So because how the escape race works is each of those, like, like I said, like there's room 1, you have to move on to room 2 and then room 3. Each one of those rooms has little actual like physical trophies in the room, and whoever picks up the trophy gets a point on their bar, and it's the first person to get like 8 points or whatever. So you want to, and there's only like 2 or 3 trophies in each area. So whoever solves that room and moves on to the next room will most likely go, but those trophies move around. So if you both get in at the same time, then you're racing to try to find wherever the trophies are laid out, hidden, not really hidden. They're like on tables, but they move around. So whoever grabs them first gets the point. And, but obviously I'm not actually playing against anyone because they're just a second controller, but, I would be able to get all of the trophies in each room, pretty quickly once I, got those puzzles down. So there was a little bit of grinding for that 50 puzzle achievement.
I'm used to grinding.
Yeah. So it wasn't too bad. But yeah, that was the longest part of the game, was that DLC, because you have to play 50 matches And once you get really good at it, you can do it in a couple of minutes. But typically, they're going to take at least 10 minutes until you start getting really familiar with them. So that's why that title update basically tripled the length of the game. But I like the puzzles. Like I said, I like puzzle games, so I enjoyed the puzzling aspect. It's just that those last 15 matches just to get to the number of 50 was kind of annoying to grind those out when I already, I know how to solve these puzzles. It's just really repetitive. But I like the puzzling aspect of it, just not the having to have a second controller take up half my screen for no reason. So that was another one I panic played before it left Game Pass. So I have one other game to talk about. Do you have one more game to talk about as well?
Well, I could talk about the game I did on. I did a little bit of on that night with in Black Belt's charity stream.
Okay.
Because I did get achievements in it because it was a Steam game, and that is Among Us.
Oh yeah. I wasn't there for that one, but I heard that you did you'd never played before and you did really good. You were a natural at it.
Yeah, I ended up becoming a natural at it just because I got used. I eventually got understood what was going on. But
I've never played Among Us, but I have played. Are you familiar with the card game called Mafia?
No, I'm not.
It's basically that's kind of where the idea came from. It's you play with 15 people, whatever, and you hand out cards, and whoever gets the face not the face cards, but just the standard 2 through 10 or whatever are just townspeople, and then the jack is the mafia, and the queen is the medic, and it's like a social stealth game where everybody goes to sleep, and then the mafia gets to kill someone, and it's the job of the townspeople to figure out who the mafia is and kill them, and after each round someone dies. So I've played that game with friends as a kid, and I really enjoyed it, but I've never played Among Us. But that's kind of where the concept derived from, is basically a social stealth sort of game. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure I would like Among Us. I've just never played it.
It's definitely one of those games that's better whenever you're playing with people, with friends, But the fact that you can actually get these achievements in custom games pretty much means that the achievements themselves aren't that difficult.
I don't know if have you looked at the achievement list on Steam versus on Xbox? Because I was planning on putting this on my Bean Dive list once I get to playing all my games. I actually just recently took it off because I'm not going to end up playing it with anybody. I'm going to be doing it by myself, and it'll be boring. But if it's easy to do, maybe I'll do it anyways.
Yeah, you could do, if you got a group to do it, just a boosting group, it probably wouldn't take that long. Especially the ones where you have to get 500 kills. If you're just letting everyone, if you're just grinding it out and letting the person kill everybody, you're gonna get it really quickly because you can also change the kill timer to be really short.
Okay.
So you could probably get 8 kills in a minute. So yeah, it's 500 kills, but 8 kills in a minute is still pretty fast.
Yeah. Hey, BD Jake is here saying the stream nerds. What's up, Jake? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well tonight, buddy.
But I mean, one of the achievements I got while we were actually trying to play the game was getting 3 kills before a meeting was even called. So I was able to kill 3 people before a meeting was ever. Someone either found a body or just decided to call a meeting.
Dude is sneaky.
Yep.
Very, very sneaky, sir.
And the fact that one of the few times I was actually an imposter with another person, we ended up getting it. We ended up winning with both of us still alive at the end.
Nice.
So the fact that I was able to get both the achievement for winning as the imposter by killing everybody and doing it in a 2 imposter game was pretty cool. Of course, someone decided to mess up, and we decided everyone voted for the imposter one time, so that was an achievement.
So
I still like there's an achievement called Impossible Task, and it's complete the card swipe task on your first try. When? You actually have to swipe a card to scan it. It's a joke how every time you try to scan a card in one of those swipe your credit card, and whenever you swipe it, not just put it in or tap it, it never reads it the first time.
Oh, okay.
So the fact that there's an achievement called Impossible Task for doing it the first time.
It's like trying to plug the USB cord in the correct way the first time. Never happens. Well,
and then of course
before USB-C was a thing.
Yeah, And then one of the achievements, the last achievement I got that night was the only one I could get that way, and it just so happened to be that I was the killer that time, and I ended up being the one where I could disguise myself as other players. So what I ended up doing was the first person I found, I changed into them and killed them just to get the achievement.
Nice. So, how many achievements are in the game, and how many did you get through that play session?
There's 33, and I got 12 that night.
Nice. Without really even trying, I assume.
I was just that was the last one was the only one I actually tried to go for a specific achievement.
Okay.
Everything else was I just got by just playing the game.
Yeah. So, if people want to play it, I definitely will once I get to my dive. But that's one of those ones where I don't want to,
It's
I
just
don't
a
really
little
wanna boost
grindy.
it
Like
and grind
there
it
is an
out.
achievement for completing 500 total tasks. Like that takes a little bit, but you could do that one and just playing as a solo player
Okay.
because it's like you get like 5 or 6 tasks per game, and even whenever you get killed, the company still expects you to complete your tasks.
Here's something
So
I never thought of before. Can you play this game solo?
no, it's a multiplayer only.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I
But you
don't
can go
think
in
there's
as a
any
solo player.
AI.
I'm pretty sure you can go in as a solo player into public games.
Yes, I figured you could go into a public match. I was like, but I was like, can you play it solo and like everyone else is AI? I don't know how that would work. I
That
didn't
wouldn't
think
really
so.
work. So,
I didn't think so. But I was like, maybe it is possible. I don't know. So, I'm definitely open to playing it in the future. If people want to play it once I get to that point, it's just I was like, I don't want to really do this by myself. So, I kind of took it off my backlog.
but it's definitely one of those ones you could easily get. You could eat. Okay, I just looked at it. It's only 200 kills 200 kills whenever it's the
Oh yeah, if you're
total.
grinding, if you're boosting that, that's not going to be too bad.
Yeah, there's one for 50 total kills, but then there's another one for the hide and seek mode. So I would probably suggest just doing it in the hide and seek mode if you're grinding it out.
Okay.
But I think the one that would take the longest is getting 50 wins as the hider.
Okay, that makes sense. So, all right. If I move on to my last one.
I think we're good for that.
All right. So, last game I'm going to talk about, the one I played most recently, and I panic played it before it left Game Pass just a couple days ago. Rocker Dude, if you're still here, you might want to close your ears because he's part of the reason why I played this game. I don't know if he's still here.
And you didn't like it.
I did not like it, and that is Death's Door. Literally everybody in my Xbox community, which is where Rocker Dude is from, Achievement Hunting 101. Literally everyone who's talked about this game absolutely adores it and loves it and gushes about it. I started it last January, just over a year ago, because I thought it was going to leave Game Pass last January, and then it didn't end up leaving. So I got the first 2 achievements, January 12th and January 13th of last year, 2024. And then I didn't touch it again until January 28th, like a week ago, because it got announced it was leaving Game Pass. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to panic play it. And there are a total of 24 achievements. And I did not get the completion. I did beat the story. I have 1 achievement left. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going for the achievement. But anyways, so Death's Door, everyone's ranting and raving about how amazing this game is. So I play it based on all their recommendations. It wasn't bad. I just didn't care for it. Basically, it's a isometric Zelda-like game. The closest thing I haven't played this game yet, but I think it plays very similar to Tunic. Would be my guess. My guess is it's very similar in the vein of Tunic. But you play as a crow, and apparently crows in this universe are basically stand-ins for the Reaper, and they collect souls when people are, it's time for them to, die and pass on. Crows go and collect the souls, and so you play as a little crow, and your job is to collect the souls of the 3 bosses in the game. Essentially, there's 3.
So Dark Souls.
Actually,
that is exactly what Dark Souls ends up being.
I hadn't really thought about it since it doesn't play like Dark Souls at all. It's more of
It's
like
the same story. You take the 3 souls to open the way.
Yeah, I had not thought
Although
about
it's
that.
4 souls actually.
It is very similar in that aspect, but the gameplay is not quite anywhere near the same thing. But yeah, there's like 3 dungeons. You got to go collect the souls from the bosses of each of these 3 dungeons in order to go fight the final boss of the game. And it plays kind of like a hack and slash game. Let's see here. I'd say by playing through the game, you get most of the achievements. You really have to go out of your way to get the collect all shiny things achievement, find all the shrines, and collect all seeds and plant them. So those ones are you pretty much have to go out of your way to get all of those ones. But playing through the game, you probably get most of the achievements.
What's the one you didn't get?
So when I started it a year ago, I played through basically the first dungeon. So probably like the first 2 hours of the game. Oh, another thing that it says is the estimated completion time is 10 to 12 hours. My time on record, without getting all the achievements, I still have 1 achievement left, is 40 hours.
Sounds like you had a hard time.
I did. So I played through the first dungeon, which was probably about 2 hours. And I was like, I don't know. I don't care for this game. I hope it gets better. Everyone's ranting and raving about this game. But I went and looked and because I basically started the game blind and I didn't look at the achievements. And then after playing like through the first dungeon, oh, that's what it was. I knew that there was an achievement. Heck, do I get this item? So after I beat the first dungeon and I wasn't really caring for it, I went and looked at the achievements, and there's an achievement for beating the entire game using the umbrella as your weapon. That's the only thing that you can use. And the umbrella is basically hard mode because on its stats, it does 0.5 damage. So you do half as much damage as any of the other weapons in the game. So already not off to a great start, because not only did I miss it, I played, a third of the game essentially without it. The umbrella shows up right at the beginning of the game, but you have to go and get it. It's not in your path. It's not hard to find, but you have to know that it's there to go and look for it, because you're not going to go and look for it if you don't know it's right there at the beginning of the game. So I was like, okay, so I started the game over with the umbrella. I basically got back to where I was again, but it took longer because the umbrella is a piece of crap. And so by the time I got back to where I was initially at my first playthrough of the first dungeon, I'd probably put like somewhere between 6 to 8 hours into the game. And I was like, I'm not liking this game. So I didn't, and because I got back to where I wasn't getting any additional achievements because I already got them. So I didn't touch the game from middle of January 2024 until the end of January this year. But in the meantime, the AH101 podcast I was talking about, they talked about Death's Door over the summer on one of their episodes. And one of the people who was ranting and raving about the game said the proper way to play it is play through it regularly. Then once you've gotten all the achievements, play through it again on the second time and play through it with just the umbrella. And that go for that second playthrough for that umbrella achievement. That's the one achievement I don't have, because I did not like this game so much. I'm like, I'm not going to bother playing through it again on even harder mode when I already had as much difficulty with it on normal mode. So I was like, screw it. I'm not going to complete this game. I will never beat it, because I played the Windows version, because when there's Windows and Xbox versions, the Xbox versions usually go on sale all the time. The Windows versions of games never, ever, 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 ever go on sale. So I was like, I'll play the Windows version. So if I do decide to stack it, the Xbox One version, if it leaves Game Pass and I do want to play it, I'll buy the Xbox version when it's on a steep discount, because the Windows versions never go on sale. But I did not enjoy the game. I had a lot of issues with it, like the design choices, and I was just like, nope, screw it. I'm done. I'm just going to write the rest write the game off as never going to complete it, because
at least with most of the Dark Souls design choices, it's meant to be hard so that whenever you finally beat it, it's like satisfying.
Yeah, so one of my biggest issues with the game is the health system. So you start out with, you don't have like a health bar, like, it takes off chunks of the bar. I will take that any day of the week. It's like you have pips in your bar. So you have basically 4 pips, so you can take 4 hits before you die. That is always a red flag for me on, when you have,
at that point, just make it hearts, like in Zelda.
Well, and the thing is, you start out with 4, and you can only increase it by 2. So the max you can even have in the game is 6. It's not like Zelda where you can get 20 hearts.
I've beaten Zelda games with only 3 hearts now.
Yes, but that's not typically how Zelda games are meant to be played. That's more, the achievement.
But they're designed well enough that it's actually a possibility.
Yes. But, you can, or like Metroid games, you get like 14 or 20 health, energy tanks. You can only go from 4 to 6. And in order to increase it by 1, you have to get 4 pieces. And there's only 8 of them in the game, because each 4 makes 1 more. And then same thing for your mana, essentially. You start out with 4, which you can increase to 6, or the mana might have a few more. You might start with a few more, but same thing. There's mana crystals that you collect, and 4 of them will add 1 more. And then, so there's 16 in total. So you can increase your health twice, you can increase your mana twice. So you don't really have a whole lot of mana or health throughout any of the game. The health system is terrible, because literally the only possible way to restore your health in this game, there's no consumables. You don't get your health back by going to, not like save stations, but how the game works is there's kind of like a central hub. And as you progress through the game, you unlock new doors, and every one of the doors you unlock out in the world goes back to the same hub. So once you unlock more doors, you can basically fast travel around the game, because there's all these different doors you can pick from. But there's no like save station or anything. Literally, the only way to restore your health is, as I mentioned before, one of the achievements is finding all the seeds and planting them in all the pots. There's these seeds you have to find, and then you have to find one of these pots and then plant it, and then it'll sprout into like a plant, and then you consume the plant, and that'll restore your health. That is the only way in the game to restore your health. And sometimes these things are nowhere near where you need them to be. Fortunately, when you like leave it and you can't reuse it, you have to like leave the area and come back to get it to respawn.
But that also respawns the enemies, doesn't it?
No, it's not like Dark Souls where the enemies respawn. It's more of like the first time through, there will be enemies, and then once you beat the enemies, it'll either stay cleared, or there'll be more weaker basic enemies that'll be in that area next time you come through. So that wasn't much of an issue. It was just the fact that you start with no health and mana, and you barely get any upgrades for it, and the health system is trash, and you have to. So basically, every boss fight you have to beat without taking damage, essentially, because you can only take a couple of hits before you die. And sometimes the bosses will take more than 1 pip of your health in a single hit.
Oof.
So and going through that again with the umbrella when I had a hard enough time with the weapons you're supposed to use, I was like, no, screw it. I'm not enjoying my time with this game. So I got all but 1 achievement, but I wrote off the umbrella achievement. I'm not going to get it because even if the game went on sale for like $1, I would buy it. It would take a lot to get me to play the game, just because I disliked the game so much. I don't even want to play it again. So I don't think he's here, because he probably would have said something. But all the people who ranted and raved about this game on AH101, I am very disappointed in you guys, because this game was not fun, and it pissed me off to no end. Not as much as Dark Souls, but it got close in some
Would you
point.
rather play Dark Souls again, or would you rather play this game again?
I would rather play a Dark Souls New Game Plus playthrough than play through this game from scratch with the umbrella.
Well, also you got to remember a new Dark Souls character. You still have the knowledge that you got from the original game, so you still know more than what you did that first playthrough.
True, but I don't like being so weak. So I would play a Dark Souls New Game Plus playthrough before playing through an umbrella playthrough on Death's Door. I would rather play through Death's Door with the umbrella than play through Dark Souls again from scratch.
Which you could technically do twice more over because of the stacks.
I could, but I don't want to. So,
and also there's 2 other games.
Yeah, I added Dark Souls 2 and 3 to my wish list on Xbox. They were just on sale for 50% off, but that's still $20 and $30, so it's $50 for both of them.
I'd say that's pretty much worth it for me.
Yeah, for you. Those for my challenge
I actually think
with Carl and
now that I'm thinking, I think you might actually like 3 more than 1. The only problem is that there is an achievement that you do require another player.
Oh,
because you have to kill him like 50 or 100 times.
Ugh.
It's just grindy.
Yeah.
It's because unlike in Dark Souls 1, there's one faction that you can't grind out using enemies.
Yeah.
It just didn't have a PvE drop, and unlike everything else in every other game.
So
and also some of the grinds are actually a bit worse just because of how low the drop rates are.
Gotcha.
But that's more grind than difficulty.
But yeah, so with my challenge with Carl and Angry Canadian, we get bonus points for playing games that you hate. And so I put Dark Souls 2 and 3 on there. So if I do play them, I'll get bonus points, but I don't know if I want to put myself through that. But that's why I added them to my wish list, is solely because of this challenge. If it wasn't for this challenge, I wouldn't even consider playing them. But I put them on my wish list, but even at 50% off, that's $50 for both games. That's way too rich for my taste. So if I can get them for cheaper than that, we'll see. But yeah,
to be honest, usually whenever I spend a lot of money on a game, it's the physical copy anyways.
Yeah, you're a collector. I'm not. So I did get the achievement for 100% completing the game, which is collecting everything in a single playthrough. That was the last achievement I got on January 31st, right before it left Game Pass. But I would have had to have done a whole nother playthrough. I could have sped run the game, but I was like, I'm not playing through this game again with just the umbrella, which is going to make it way more difficult. So I'm like, no, screw this game. So I did not care for Death's Door that much. I did not have a lot of fun with it. I did not care for it. So I was disappointed when all these people talked it up so much. So I did not get the last achievement, and I likely never will. I added it to my list of games I will never 100% because it's very, very unlikely that will ever happen. So, but with that, that is everything I have to talk about for January.
And you said this was going to be a short one.
I know. I like we said, it could be short, but then it could also go on for a long time. We're now at over 3 hours. So that's how Achievement Chasers go. Sometimes we might think it's going to go short, and then it goes super long anyways. So, but I'm perfectly fine with that. It's more so Dude, since he's 3 hours ahead of me. So I do have a couple quick things I'd like to go over about what I played so far in February. Anything you want to kind of touch on real quick?
I've already talked about every game I played.
I figured.
I remember I do it in between the episodes, not based on a month.
Yeah, exactly. So if you played at the beginning of,
that's why I didn't really talk about Pokemon Crystal or Stardew Valley. Even I think I had like one achievement left in Pokemon Crystal before the last one. I can't remember if I finished Stardew Valley before or after last one, but it was like such a small amount. But what's funny is that one thing I will say about Stardew Valley, I looked it up. It on True Achievements, the perfection achievement from Stardew Valley is now the achievement that has the most true achievement score.
Oh, okay.
And that's just because it has a default of 200 points.
I was going to say it's probably a very large gamer score value,
but it's also a really it's an extremely rare achievement as well. So
what's the ratio on it?
I think it's over a 10.
Oh wow! So it's like a 2000 TA achievement.
Yeah, I actually have it up right now. It's 10.29.
10.29. Wow.
So it's in score, it's worth more than that Devil May Cry game or achievement.
but
that
that's
Devil
not
May,
exactly a fair comparison.
the Devil May Cry achievement is 100 points though.
Yeah.
But
So
it has a 19 ratio.
Oh, geez.
So it's multiplied by 10.
I don't know what my highest TA achievement is off the top of my head. Like, I know my highest.
You can go look at it in True Achievements.
Yeah, I know.
Actually,
you can
I'll go
look at it. Just off the top of my head, though, I knew my highest ratio achievement was in the 13s, but my actual highest TA score achievement, I'll have to pull up here unless you've already got it.
Wait, I was apparently I signed out in the middle of moving pages for some reason.
All right. I'll have it here in just a second.
Hold on, I'm sorting. It takes a little bit longer for yours to sort.
So my highest TA is 1200, and that is for the Crackdown 3 Captain side quest for basically completing all the.
I see only 695 for your highest TA.
Yeah, my what I'm looking at right now, my highest the achievement with the highest TA value is 1200 in Crackdown 3 for completing all the side quests. My highest ratio.
Why do I see only 695 though?
I don't know, because that the achievement I'm talking about is 150 gamer score achievement and has a ratio of 8. My highest.
I see. For some reason, it said exclude done or not. No longer have.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, that was checked on yours.
That's weird.
So because of that, I saw Guitar Hero World Tour achievement.
Oh, but yeah, my highest ratio achievement is 13.5 on that Minecraft dungeon achievement I talked about, but that's only a 20 gamer score achievement worth 271 TA.
And that's probably just because it was like a title update achievement, wasn't it?
It was. But it's also one that very few people have gotten because it's kind of grindy.
I mean, the Stardew Valley one was also a title update, but it's also extremely grindy as well.
And I know I just mentioned it just recently, but that one, that Minecraft Dungeons one, is because it's for completing, it's defeating 100 tower guards, and you can only do like 2 a week. But there was 1 week last year that there was like 8 of them, and it was pretty early on. So instead of completing it, you could like die and restart the wave, and fight those 8 again, and it kept adding to the score. So. It made it really easy to grind out. But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I typically like to talk about what I played only for that month on that month's episode. But I'll talk about this one more next month. But I panic played another game that got announced as leaving in the middle of February called Return to Grace. And it was basically a walking simulator, but I really enjoyed it. It was a sci-fi story about reviving an AI that basically ran humanity and disappeared hundreds of years ago. And I really enjoyed it. So I've already completed that, but I'll talk about that in more length on next month's episode. But the thing I'm currently playing that I mentioned earlier, because once I'm done with this, I'll either go back to Dishonored or I will move on to Lord of Shadow 2. I'm not sure yet. But this is also sort of panic playing because I beat the base game. So this game was on Game Pass. I beat the base game on Game Pass. Then it got a DLC. Then it came back to Game Pass. And now it's leaving Game Pass again. So I bought the DLC when the DLC came out back in June. And I liked the base game. I despise this DLC with a burning passion. I rated it a 0.5 out of 5. I hate this DLC with a passion. And the game I'm talking about is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which we've talked about a few times recently, took me a while to get into it. I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me. And I like the game overall now. This DLC, I hate with a passion, but it's leaving it's leaving Game Pass, so I have to get the completion again before it leaves Game Pass at the middle of the month. I own the Windows version of the game, so I'm not going to play the Windows version before it leaves Game Pass because I already own it. I just haven't started it yet. But I had already played the Xbox One version when it was on Game Pass the first time, and then it came back, and the DLC came out, so I bought the DLC, and I'm going to complete it again before it leaves Game Pass. So I'm working on that right now, and there are a total of 12 achievements in the DLC, and I have 4 left, so I've got 8 of them. So I'm a good chunk of the way through the game, through the DLC. It's not terribly long. It says completion time 6 to 8 hours. I've probably got like 15 hours in the DLC so far. I hate this DLC with a passion. I'll talk more about it next month. But that's what I'm currently playing. Once I get these last 4 achievements, I'll move on to either back to the DLC on. Probably what I'll do is I'll probably go back to the DLC on not Overwatch, Dishonored. And then once I'm done with Dishonored, then I'll probably move on to Lords of Shadow 2. But yeah, I'll talk more about this DLC next month, but I absolutely hate it with a burning passion. It is terrible. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. And what
You're making me want to try and play it to see how bad it is.
I would, if you play it, I will be glad to hear your thoughts on it, but I despise it.
I'll have to do it twice eventually. Because I have it on PlayStation and Xbox.
Okay. I'm doing it twice because I'm doing the Xbox version right now, and then eventually I'll be doing the Windows version. Because my plan is to play every Metroidvania on Xbox, and eventually I want to get to number 1 at some point, which will require playing all of the stacks. And this one's got 2 stacks. So, yeah, I'll talk more about it next month, but I hate this DLC. But if you play it, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. So,
watch, I'll end up enjoying it a bit more because I've actually been playing Castlevania type games for a lot longer than you.
Possibly. One of my buddies on AH101, he's like, I enjoyed the DLC. I'm like, I hate it with a burning passion. I despise it with all of my being. So, but yeah, so I'll be working on this. The rest of Dishonored and Lord of Shadow 2 are the next things on my to-do list. And I know you're going to be continuing working on Dynasty Warriors 5. And what's your current stream game that you're
Star
working
Fox
on?
Adventures.
Star Fox Adventures, that's right.
Thing is, though,
I'll
be finishing that, and I'll probably be moving on to a Ninja Gaiden game.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Is once you're done with Star Fox Adventures, what are you planning on streaming next?
It's probably going to be Ninja Gaiden to get ready for 4.
Okay.
I'm probably going to go through all 3 of the games.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black, I'm assuming, were original Xbox, so they do not have any achievements anywhere. So you'll have to play a game without achievements.
Are you sure about that? Is there a Sigma version that has achievements?
Oh, that's right. You could be playing the Sigma version, which from what I hear, I would not recommend. But it does have achievements. So I've not played the Sigma versions yet.
Why is the Sigma versions considered bad?
I haven't played them yet. I do own them because those are what are in the Master Collection, which I own. So I will be playing them. I haven't played them yet, but from what I hear, the source code was lost. So they had to rebuild I don't really know a lot of the background, but I heard the source code, at least on Ninja Gaiden 2, was lost. I don't know about Ninja Gaiden, the original Ninja Gaiden. Anyways, Ninja Gaiden / Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 2 are very violent, bloody, gory games, and they're fantastic. I heard that the Sigma versions get rid of all of or censor or something, the awesome, violent, bloody goriness of the game. Which
so apparently
really
the best version I'm going to be playing is, well, to be honest, I could play through Sigma just for the first game, and then I could go back to the original 2 on 360.
Yes, you could do that, and I'd probably recommend it from what I hear from a lot of the...
But then I'll eventually go through Ninja Gaiden 3.
Yeah, so from what I hear from a lot of the purists is that the original versions are better than the Sigma versions. However, the Sigma versions add stuff like new characters. Like in the original Ninja Gaiden / Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 2, you only ever play as Ryu. However, in the Sigma versions, I hear you can play as like Rachel and Ayane and Kasumi and Momiji in different ones. Same thing with Ninja Gaiden 3, the original version, you only played as Ryu. In Razor's Edge, which is, if you're going to play 3, definitely play Razor's Edge because it's far better than the original version. However, I still don't think Razor's Edge is that good, but it is far better than the original one because in Ninja Gaiden 3, they took out all the things that make Ninja Gaiden, and they added it back in the Razor's Edge version. So there's in the original Ninja Gaiden 3, you have no extra weapons. All you have is...
You're tempting me to actually do both versions.
I don't recommend it. Ninja Gaiden 3 was one of the games I felt most ripped off by. I returned the game after I beat it because I kept playing. I'm like, all right, when does it get good? When does it get good? When does it get good? I beat the game and never got good, so I returned it after. It's not terribly long, so I beat it in a couple days within the period, and I took it back. It was terrible. There's no the magic that you use is called Ninpo. There's no Ninpo in 3. It's basically all you have is nothing changes throughout Ninja Gaiden 3. You don't get any stronger. You don't get any better items, weapons, nothing. No upgrades, nothing. They added all that stuff back into the Razor's Edge version. So, and you, like I said, you can play as some of the other characters. So I actually just beat Razor's Edge for the first time back in December. But there's an achievement for beating the whole game with all 4 characters. So I still have to do like 3 full playthroughs. And I have a lot to do in Razor's Edge. So I will likely never get the completion, but I do plan to get a bunch more of the achievements. It's going to take a long time. There are co-op trials though in Razor's Edge. So I think that because that's another thing they added in like the Sigma version or something. There's co-op trials, but you can't actually play them with another person. You can only play with an AI, and the AI is so bad it's literally impossible to beat. So I believe, however, in Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge, you can play it with another person. So if you play Razor's Edge, I'll definitely play those co-op trials with you. But so the Sigma versions have extra stuff added into them. There's only Sigma 1 and 2. There is no Sigma 3. There's just the original version, and then there's the Razor's Edge version. But there is a Xbox 360 version of the Razor's Edge, but there's the one that comes with the Master Ninja Collection, which is on Xbox One, is the Xbox One version of Razor's Edge is the exact same as the 360 version. There's no changes. Whereas the Sigma versions of 1 and 2
probably just the only changes is maybe a bump in frame rate.
Yeah, it might have better textures, better frame rate, but the game itself has not been touched. Whereas like the Sigma versions versus the original versions of 1 and 2, they made a lot of changes. There's new boss fights, there's new characters, but they took out like all the blood and gore stuff, which is part of the game. So I will be playing all of the Sigma versions as well. I just haven't played them yet.
Oh, I'm just looking at the achievements for Ninja Gaiden Sigma. Get Master on all chapters on Master Ninja.
Yeah, I will never do that. But
well, I've already done that already.
So, however, since there's 3 different versions of 2, there's the original 360 Ninja Gaiden 2, there's Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, and then there's now the one that just came out, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. You could also do Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which I've heard is fantastic. However, it's based on the Sigma version, but I've heard that they added back in all of the violence and gore and dismemberment and stuff. So I've heard that Ninja Gaiden 2 Black is excellent. I will be playing that at some point as well. It's just once I get to my dive, I'll be playing that one.
I did look into it. At the very least, I only have to get master rank on the highest difficulty. Everything else will allow me to get it. So
if you complete any of the Ninja Gaiden games, any version of them 100%, I will be mad impressed. I've heard that the Sigma versions are easier. That's still not to say much because Ninja Gaiden is such an incredibly difficult game. They're easier than the original versions, but they're still very difficult. So,
I've already mastered every Devil May Cry game. So,
yeah, that's true. You very well may be able to do it. But that was the other thing I was going to say is that Ninja Gaiden / Ninja Gaiden Black was an original Xbox exclusive, and Ninja Gaiden 2 was a 360 exclusive. The Sigma versions were PlayStation exclusives, which is why I never
until
played
the Xbox One.
Until the Master Collection came to Xbox One. So,
and I think I do have the Vita version for Sigma.
I did not know that. However, the one other version is there is DS game, Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword, which I have beaten, and I believe there is an achievement set on Retro Achievements. So it's weird though because you hold it vertically, and everything happens on this screen, but you control it all this screen by doing different motions to do sword slashes. So you have to do like combos like right slash, left slash, or like
I don't see the Ninja Gaiden game on DS.
And Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword?
I don't see it on Retro Achievements.
On Retro, I thought it had an achievement set, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know how it would work though, because the entire gameplay is all through the touchpad, and I don't know how you would do that since I have not played anything on DS via Retro Achievements yet. So
you would pretty much have to use your mouse.
That would be terrible, because all of the gameplay in this is all through here by doing different combos of slashes, like up, down, right, left, and doing them in certain orders and stuff. It was really cool, but I don't know how you do that emulated. So I thought it had an achievement set, but I could be wrong about that. Do you see it on Retro Achievements?
I see it on Retro Achievements, but it doesn't even have screenshots.
Okay, so it does not have an achievement set. Okay, then I was wrong. But I mean, I do have
also the Xbox version of Ninja Gaiden is also on Retro Achievements, but they don't even have support for Xbox yet.
They don't even have an emulator for it yet. But
well, there is an emulator. It's working.
Oh, well, yeah. I meant an emulator that supports achievements.
Yeah. And I think they would do Wii and then they would probably do Wii first before they decided to do Xbox.
Yeah. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword right here. This is the game where Momiji was introduced. This was her first appearance. And
a DS game.
A DS game. And as you might be able to see, this one's actually rated teen, which I think the Sigma versions were also rated teen, whereas obviously the original versions were rated.
I'll have to look because
they're very violent and gory.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. One of the great things, they actually incorporated that as part of the gameplay in 2 is that you can dismember people, like cut off their arms, and they'll still keep coming for you. You can cut off their legs, and they'll be on the ground crawling, and they'll jump on you and try to, basically do a suicide, and they'll try to explode themselves. And when they do, it does a crap load of damage.
Do a Cyberman.
But the thing is, if any of the enemies are missing a limb, if you do a heavy attack, you do what's called an obliteration technique, and it's an awesome execution animation. And there's tons of different ones for each weapon. So each weapon will have different animations. So
gotcha.
That obviously wasn't in the Sigma version because there's no dismemberment. So, yeah. So if you have to play the first one with achievements, obviously the only option for that is Ninja Gaiden Sigma. For 2, you got a lot of options. I would say either do the original or Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. I would say don't do Sigma 2 unless you want to play all of them. Like, I'm such a big Ninja Gaiden fan, I'm going to be playing every version that I can. But if you don't want to do all of them...
I'll probably eventually do Sigma 2, but I probably won't do it on stream because I'm thinking about doing the Devil May Cry games on the re-releases.
Okay.
Because you got to remember, I can do those Devil May Cry games so many different ways because of all the re-releases.
Yes, that's true.
Because I went through the original 3 on 360 and 4 on 360. And then the DMC reboot was on 360. By the way, all of those have been re-released on Xbox One.
Yeah.
And then Devil May Cry 5 was an Xbox One original. But then there's a Series X version that's called a Special Edition. That's its own set. So I could do 5 again.
And then there's, for Ninja Gaiden 3, there's Ninja Gaiden 3, the original version, which was 360 game. There was Razor's Edge, which is also 360 game. And then there's also the Xbox One version of Razor's Edge, which was in the Master Ninja Collection.
By the way, we're still only in the Xbox ecosystem as well.
Yeah, that's when I'm talking about it. I'm just talking about the Xbox ecosystem. So there's 3 versions that you could choose from for 3. I would say go with the Xbox One version of Razor's Edge since it's...
Oh, and by the way, it looks like Ninja Gaiden Sigma over on PlayStation. Sigma on PS4 and Sigma Plus on the Vita.
Okay.
Are separate
I didn't
lists.
even know that there was a Vita game for Ninja Gaiden. That is news to me.
It's just Sigma Plus.
Okay.
I don't see a rating on the True Trophies though.
So, yeah. So the ones that I will be playing is I'll be playing Sigma 1, Sigma 2, 2 Black, and Razor's Edge on the Xbox One. Because those are the ones that I have not played yet.
At the very least, the getting the pretty much the S rank on the highest difficulty. I only have to do it on the highest difficulty because all the easier difficulties come with it.
Oh,
it's not like Devil May Cry where I have to do it on the lower difficulties as well.
However, the difficulties don't unlock until you beat the previous difficulty.
Yeah, so I can still just play. I still have to play through it quite a few times,
yeah.
But I won't have to master each difficulty like I did in Devil May Cry.
Correct. Yeah, you'll have to unlock the difficulty, but you only have to master the hardest difficulty. But that would be mad impressive if you're able to pull that off. Oh, so one other thing that I've been playing this week that I have not beaten yet, but I'm playing for the first time, and I'm not having a great time with it. But you wrote the achievements, and I started the original Metroid on NES. So,
by the way, those achievements were changed since I worked on them. I don't think they were. I think some of the speedrun achievements don't work well with passwords anymore.
Oh, I'm not even bothering with the speed runs. I'm just going for 100% completion item collection. But I have 10 out of 25 so far. And I'm doing that because, as I mentioned, for our challenge games in a series, get bonus points. So I'm planning on beating Metroid and Metroid 2 because on Metroidvania Monday, I've been playing through Super Metroid. And like I said, I'm getting really close to the end of Super Metroid. So I need to beat 1 and 2 before I beat 3 in order for them to count as sequential games. So, but yeah, I am not having a great time with the original Metroid. I've got a map pulled up that's helping guide me in the right direction. But the kind of where I not really rage quit, but I'm like, I'm done for now, and I don't really want to go back and play it anymore, is that, as with all the, not all of them, but most of the Metroid games, as you acquire new beam upgrades, they stack. Wave Beam and Ice Beam do not stack. You only have one or the other. And you need Ice Beam in order to progress, and I can't progress right now, so I need to go back and get the Ice Beam in order to progress, which is freaking retarded.
Well, there wasn't there that I don't think they thought about you pressing start and actually and being able to change the beam that way.
First off, when I at the beginning of the game, I had to look. I was like, "How the heck do I shoot missiles?" Because like on NES, there was only 2 buttons, so I had to look it up. I'm like, "Oh, select switches between them." But yeah, playing through the original Metroid, and my biggest complaint is the health.
Yeah,
you barely anything drops health, and when it does, you typically only get 5 health. Occasionally, you'll get a 20 health. But when you spawn, you only have 30 health when each container holds 99.
Yep.
And when you get more health containers, it's almost useless because when you die, you still only start with 30 health. So you only start with like a tiny fraction of your health. It's absolute garbage.
You can't blame me on that one.
No.
That's the game itself.
Horrible design choice. So
there's a reason why I didn't make damageless boss fights.
Every time that you die, you basically have to go and find an enemy that infinitely respawns and just sit there for 5 minutes hoping it drops health in order to get your health full again, because there's nothing in the game that refills your health except for health drops. Absolute trash. So I was saying it while I was no, because I haven't streamed any of it. It was all off stream. But I did talk about it recently. It might have been
Metroid 2 is definitely a much better game than Metroid 1.
Okay.
Although it's a bit more confusing with the map, but that's because of the monochrome.
Right. Because I start
more of it's most of Metroid 2's shortcomings are more forgivable because when you realize which platform it was originally on.
Yeah, it was on Game Boy. But I was thinking, was I talking about it when I was playing Super Metroid on Metroidvania Monday? But no, because my last achievement at Super Metroid was on Monday, and I started Metroid on the original Metroid on Tuesday. So I don't remember when, but there was one stream that I did this week where I was like, if you're gonna play the original Metroid, play Zero Mission, because the original version.
Party chat?
It was probably on Party Chat. That's probably what it was. Yeah, it was on Party Chat at the beginning when we were talking about what we were playing lately. And I was like, play Zero Mission because the original Metroid has just the tiniest little quality of life improvements would make it so much better. But the way it is freaking terrible, and I cannot recommend it.
It's amazing that it's such a great franchise starter from that.
Exactly. Yeah. The original Metroid is not good, but it spawned a fantastic franchise. So that's the other thing I've been playing, and I'll be working on, but I'm not doing that on stream. But I am doing Super Metroid on stream, and once I finish Super Metroid on Metroidvania Monday, which will likely be my next Metroidvania Monday stream, whenever that is, then I'll be moving on to Metroid Fusion.
Just make sure you finish off 1 and 2 before you do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we'll be back with more Dude Souls next Wednesday. So,
Sounds good to me.
And then, you're working on Star Fox Adventures. When are you planning on finishing that up?
Should be Saturday.
Saturday. All right. And then after that, you said you're going to be starting Ninja Gaiden. So sweet.
Yep. That'll probably be Monday.
I was going to say, we can reverse it and we can, I can coach you, but it's not really, it's just getting good at the combat because it's not like it's got all these places to go and like.
I kind of want to complete the games before the fourth one comes out.
Okay. We don't have a date though, so you should. I think you should.
It said sometime this year.
So. Yeah, it said this year. You should have plenty of time to do it. Unless you're only doing it on stream, then I definitely understand.
I'll be doing it only on stream. So
okay. But one of the things is Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 are very linear. It's each level is separated and it's point A to point B. Ninja Gaiden Black, or the first Ninja Gaiden, is my favorite because it has a Metroidvania world. You can go back and forth between. There's kind of
like how I am with Dark Souls.
Exactly like Dark Souls. Dark Souls 1 has it's not a hub and spoke. Like you don't have like one central area that you're at all the time, but it's an interconnected Metroidvania-like world. It's not Metroidvania traversal because you don't get like ability upgrades that allow you to reach new areas, but there are locked doors and you get keys that unlock new areas. But you're, with the exception of the first and second level, after that point, the entire rest of the game, you can go back to any point, any time. But the first and second, you do go back to the same area as the game started, but it's a little bit different than when you went through it at the beginning of the first level. But
like a plane crashed in it or something like that, right?
Yeah. It's because the when you start the very first level, everything is nice and pristine, but it burns down at the end of the first level. So when you come back later, everything is all like destroyed.
Or like the frigate in Metroid Prime 1.
Yeah, kind of like that. But the second level, and I say level because it does have chapters, and it'll pause and it'll say chapter 2, but it's not like, other than the beginning of the game, you can still go back to any point at any time.
That's actually kind of what Devil May Cry 1 tried to do.
But chapter 2 is
extremely linear.
Okay. But chapter 2 is on an airship, so you cannot go back to that. And there are items in levels 1 and 2 that you need in order to get
100%.
So make sure you don't miss them. I don't know about the Sigma versions, but in the
I'll probably have a guide up for that type of stuff while I'm playing, because when it comes to action-oriented games, I'm not really going to be too bothered just using a guide for collectibles.
Yeah. So I don't know about the Sigma version, how it handles it, but on the original version in Ninja Gaiden / Ninja Gaiden Black, there are 30 golden scarabs to collect throughout the game. So I would, if they kept it the same, I would assume that there's an achievement for collecting all the scarabs.
Yeah, there is.
And as you collect scarabs, the shop, he'll give you rewards for like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. But some of them are missable. So if you're going for that achievement, make sure you get those on the first run. They're not too difficult to find. They're not like super hidden. So if you
I'm pretty sure that one of the quality of life improvements for Sigma is probably being able to select the chapters.
That could be too. I have no idea. But as long as you're keeping your eye out and you go everywhere you can, you should have no problem finding them all.
Yeah.
But it's just at the beginning. After that, you can't miss them because you can always go back to an area later. Yeah. I feel like there was one other thing I was going to say, but I was going to say, like, I can coach you, but I don't really need to because there's not really much coaching other than
I'll end up getting better at the game than you.
If you can beat it on the hardest difficulty, yes, because on Ninja Gaiden Black, I beat it on very hard. I was never able to beat it on Master Ninja. However, like I said, the Sigma versions, I've heard they're easier. So if you were to go and beat Ninja Gaiden Black on Master Ninja, you will be better than Ninja Gaiden.
Well, you got to remember, I'm going for that S rank, so it'll be essentially the same thing because I'll be taking less. I probably want to take less damage.
I don't know how the S ranks work. I've never.
I think I looked at the achievement. I looked at the achievement guide. It looked like it's based on time and how much karma you have.
Okay, the karma makes sense. I've gotten really good karma scores. Although does it actually say an S rank? Because on
Master
Ninja
rank.
Gaiden, okay, because on Ninja Gaiden Black at the end of each chapter, it'll tell you like Acolyte, Ninja. There's a couple different ranks. I don't remember what the rankings are, but Master Ninja is the highest one, and it's based on your karma score. So I've beaten the game on like normal and hard, probably getting Master Ninja on every chapter. But there's no way I got that on very hard. But I did beat very hard. But how beating Sigma on Master Ninja and getting Master Ninja rank compared to beating Ninja Gaiden Black on Master Ninja, I don't know. But I will be.
I'm pretty sure whenever Retro Achievements adds achievements to that game, it's going to ask you to master Ninja.
It probably will. And I will be playing. I don't think I will never get that achievement, but I will absolutely be playing Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black once Xbox gets retro achievement support.
It'll probably have more achievements though, because it'll have one for each level probably. Unlike how the developer achievements do, where they just ask you to do it for the entire game instead.
Yeah, so this is an achievement for getting Master Ninja rank on.
Because I know the Devil May Cry series on Retro Achievements does that. If I remember correctly, let me look.
But yeah, Paul's saying DMC 2015 is best.
It's a good
argue
one.
with Dude about that. I've not played any of the DMC games, although I know I would like them. So
yeah, I'm just looking at yeah, pretty much there's an achievement for each level, each mission on Devil May Cry 1 for getting an S rank.
Okay.
On each difficulty.
So
that's why it looks like it has so many more achievements.
Okay, so just whenever it does, if they do that with Ninja Gaiden, then each difficulty will probably have an achievement for each chapter for getting Master Ninja rank on it. And I'll probably be able to get most of those.
The achievement for having an S rank on every mission on every difficulty is called Devil Will Cry.
Devil Will Cry. The thing, though, is there's no way to go back and replay a chapter. So if you miss it, you're going to have to play through the entire game again. There's no save states or anything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm used to not playing with save states because I play on hardcore mode.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is if you're playing on hardcore mode, there's no save states in the game. So if you don't get Master Ninja, you can't restart and play the level over again.
That sounds like how the original Devil May Cry was.
So you'll have to play through the game up to that level and try it again. And if you don't get it, you have to start the game over again and get back to that chapter.
Or just not save and redo the level.
That would be tough because the save station. Oh, actually, no. That's actually the way to do it, because I was going to say the save stations are how you refill your health without having to use any of your consumables. The save station will refill your health. However, I forgot that by default, when you activate the save station, it'll refill your health and go into save. However, you can change it so it's 2 separate button presses, so you can restore your health without saving the game.
And again, it could be that Sigma did some quality of life changes where they made it so you can select chapters.
That could be too. There could be a chapter select in Sigma. I'm just thinking about when Ninja Gaiden Black gets achievements on retro achievements.
Yeah, that'll be way down the line though.
Yeah, there's no save, but you could do that. You could restore your health without actually saving. So if you don't make it, you could play through the whole level again. But there's no way to know until you get to the end of the level. So you couldn't just replay the last up from the last save point to the end of the level. You'd have to play through the whole level again because there's no way to know what your rank is until you beat the chapter.
Makes sense.
So,
well, at least with Devil May Cry, the original Devil May Cry, with it having that system, you can only save in between levels, so it wasn't nearly as bad. It wouldn't be nearly as bad for that game.
And when you do beat the level, it does give you the option. It says, do you want to save? So you could save at that point and then just not save through the rest of the level. And then if you don't get it, then you just reload your last save and it'll take you back to the beginning of the chapter.
Yeah,
so
that's probably how I do it.
But if you accidentally save midway through the chapter and you're too far into the level and you don't get it, then you're screwed. You have to start the whole game over again.
Yep.
So, but anyways, that's the other thing I was going to say is once we're done with Dude Souls, I'm going to stream playing Ninja Gaiden Black because I want a palate cleanser. And so I'm going to be playing Ninja Gaiden Black.
Although the palate cleanser is watching me beat the game so much easier.
Well, I mean a palate cleanser for me to play, but it is fun watching you play it and see, how good you are at it. But for me to play something like, and because that's one of my biggest issues, like people are like, oh, Dark Souls is so hard. It's like, yes, but I think it's easier than Ninja Gaiden because you can level up and get better equipment in Dark Souls. You can't do that in Ninja Gaiden. The only thing you can do is you can upgrade your weapons, which does not give you more damage. It gives you longer combos, so you can do more hits before you have to break your combo. So,
so
you just have to you legitimately have to get good because you can't upgrade your armor. You can increase your health bar so you can take more damage, but there's no armor.
Yeah.
And the only thing is you have, you get like 8 different weapons and they have various levels of how many times you can upgrade them. You can either upgrade them like the nunchuck, you can't upgrade, but the dragon sword, you can upgrade 3 times. Although the 4th upgrade happens automatically as part of the story. So if you don't, you'll want to upgrade it because it's one of the best weapons. But if you don't upgrade it, it'll automatically hit level 4.
Gotcha.
At a story point late in the game. The Vogorian flails, you can only upgrade them once, but the Vogorian flails are awesome. The Dobolaro, you can upgrade 3 times. Each weapon you can upgrade different number of times, and it'll add more combos. But it doesn't make him do more damage. You can't take more damage other than getting, increasing your health bar. So, you do have to get good. One
Dark Souls, you have to get good and get more knowledgeable.
Yes, there's not really any knowledge to gain, and you can't like go and grind out something to make your character stronger to make the game easier. Yeah. You just have to press on. But a tip for you for when you do play it is to increase your health bar throughout the game. You'll find I think it's called Eye of the Gods. It's a blue jewel. Yeah. And every time you collect 9 of them, although you do have to activate them individually. And on the pause menu, you'll see right underneath your health bar is a little, like a bunch of like kanji Japanese symbols.
Yeah.
And if you activate one of the Eyes of the Gods, one of those kanji symbols will light up. And once you activate all 9, your health bar will extend. It'll also refill your health. So if you save your like 9th Eye of the Gods to like in the middle of a boss fight, you could use that to restore your health.
Gotcha.
And then, but if you use a single one, it does nothing for your health. But once you use that 9th one, it'll refill your health. But occasionally you'll find what's called Lives of the 1,000 Gods, which is all 9 of them all at once. You activate it and it'll instantly fill up your health bar, and that will also restore your health. So you can use that as a health item in the middle of a boss fight as well if you don't want to use one of your elixirs, because those cost money, or you can find them lying around.
Gotcha.
But just a little tip. So
if it's like Devil May Cry, using the consumables will actually be a detriment.
No, it makes the game better, easier. However,
I'm talking about for the master rank.
I don't think it has any effect on the rank.
I said if it was like Devil May Cry, it would.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it has any downside. The only thing is that if you use it and extend your health bar and then you die, your health bar is still extended. It doesn't go back into your inventory and your health bar doesn't shrink. It's a permanent upgrade. So you can't use it again on your next fight. So just a little tip. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to, once we're done with Dude Souls, I'm going to do a run through of Ninja Gaiden. It probably shouldn't take more than a couple streams. But I'm looking forward to playing because I haven't played Ninja Gaiden in years. And I love Ninja Gaiden Black. It's one of my favorite games. So I'm looking forward to playing through it again as my palate cleanser from Dark Souls. So, all right. Well, with that, look at that. We went almost 4 hours.
You said it was going to be a short stream.
I thought it might, but like I said, it can go long. We can ramble on about stuff. So, and this one definitely did that. So,
yeah, you definitely rambled about Dark Souls.
Yeah, rambled Dark Souls and Dishonored.
Even though you did get good.
Yeah. So, but anything else that you want to plug before we head on out here?
Nothing else to plug right now.
Okay. So yeah. So go watch Dude finish up Star Fox Adventures on Saturday, and then I plan to be back with Metroidvania on Monday, but I don't know if I will be able to the next 2 Mondays. We shall see. If I should be able to, it might be later than normal though. So, and then we got top 5 next Tuesday. We're ranking our top 5 gaming waifus since Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And I plan to have the first open mic of the year. God, I can't believe it's already been 6 weeks and I haven't had an open mic this year. I plan to have the first open mic of the year next Thursday at this time. I don't have a guest though yet, so I'll have to ask around. But yeah, so that is what it looks like for me next week. And obviously, like I said, the next episode of Dude Souls on Wednesday, where we watch Dude demolish Dark Souls. So
yep, and hopefully this time the picture will be a little bit clearer this time.
Yeah,
we found out after the stream why it was a little fuzzy.
So about halfway through the stream, we got the audio fixed, and then after the stream, we got the video to look much better. So it'll look and sound better this time. So
always learning curves with technology.
Yeah, especially when I'm streaming, you stream it. So it's like a copy of a copy.
Yep.
So with that, that'll be it for this episode of Achievement Chasers. I think Paul's the only one still here, but thanks for hanging out with us for so long, Paul. Assuming that you're out driving, drive safe, and we will talk to you later. Everyone else that came and hung out with us, thanks for hanging out, even if it was just for a couple minutes. Always appreciate the support. You guys all have a great evening. And since that'll be it for me for this week, have a great weekend. We'll see y'all next week. Have a good night. And as always, in the meantime, game on.